Recording in progress. All right. So, last time we culminated the battle. You guys, so there was a very confused and very troubling battle that took place here at
Yeah.
this little place where you found several representatives of King Steppengard's Talons, which are a new sort of supernumerary police force, accosting what looked to be a group of halfling merchants in their wagon. And as you guys do, you got involved. Several people ended up dead.
Kind
And
of like to be.
you eventually got to the point where you began to ask people questions. Not only the halfling, who was the object of the Talon's quest to try and capture and bring back to Bresk, but also of the commander Frelk of the Talons himself. And so what ultimately played out was that a couple of different things happened. Um, First, when you guys were interrogating, so the first thing you guys did was essentially execute a scourge messenger slash maybe spy that you guys had caught sort of hovering around in the
We
in the
prefer brought to justice.
brought to justice.
We prefer.
Yeah. Basically, asked her a few questions. She admitted that she was a junior member of the Scourge. She admitted that she was a messenger and was heading to Bresk to assist the Sargavan, the Sargavan contingent there. But other than that, she didn't admit to anything at all, except for one critical thing, which was that she admitted that she had been at Gate Pass during the Sargavan takeover, which
Uh-huh.
was enough.
Yep.
And Wraith put paid to that with a single arrow to the head. Once that was done, and it was largely done in front of everybody except for Ono.
No, 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 no. No, when he killed her, we took her off.
Yeah, killed her and dragged her off into the thing. So the
No, no,
body's
no.
not
We
there.
dragged her off first or walked her off first and then killed her. We didn't
It's,
kill
it's
her in front of
it's
everyone.
a bit of a revisionist history, but well, let's assume, let's for the sake of thing, that both the commander of the Talons and the halfling saw this happen, because the halfling was very nervous that you guys were going to kill her. And frankly, the commander was a little nervous that you were going to kill him. But so that's what, in large part, when you set up a zone of truth, that's what in large part got them talking. And so the halfling basically, so she's like coming back. She's like, "What did you do? Are you guilty? Did you do this thing?" And she's like, "I didn't poison anybody." And you guys are like, "Well, what did you do?" And it turns out she eventually spills a tale in which, back at her village, before this halfling contingent came to Bresk. So they are halfling traders, and basically they take halfling crafts. I said craps. Sorry, halfling craps, and they bring them in agricultural products. They bring them to Bresk. They trade them for dwarven made items, and you could tell, but because in the back of the wagon there's a bunch of like metal objects that are obviously of dwarven manufacture and that kind of stuff. So they are effectively merchants. But she said basically the Sargavans have been extracting extortion money from their village for a while now. And they've been paying it, but the Sargavans, who typically pick up the extortion money, came by and said, "Look, we need a favor, and we're willing to waive a month's worth of extortion, of protection money, in exchange for you taking this boss to Bresk and giving it to somebody there, a guy named Jaas, Jaas, a half orc, um, in the city." The halfling said she did not know what was in the box. She was advised not to look in the box. She did not look in the box. She brought the box to Bresk. She handed it off to this guy, Joss, and that was the extent of her involvement. Now, what the Talons are saying is basically she enabled the poisoning of several of the king's family. So you remember that several people among the king's family, over a dozen of his
Right.
children and family members, were poisoned to death. And it's sort of driven him a little bit about on the bend. It forced him to create the Talons out of these police force, and they're trying to run down who's done this thing, because it's obviously thrown the entire kingdom in an uproar. Well, it looks like that maybe this halfling might have delivered, at least in part, something, maybe actual poisons to this operative in Bresk who, made these things happen. If that's the case, and the Talon guys, the Commander Frelk of the Talon is basically saying she's guilty. She's guilty of at least partially guilty of the assassination of the king's family. We got to take her back, and she's got to face judgment. But she admitted that she had no idea what it was. She was just trying to save her thing. But the other hobbits are kind of like, you did what too now? They were shocked because they had been defending her quite vigorously against the Talons. They no, we're totally innocent. We have nothing to do with what you're talking about. We're merchants, and now it turns out that they were defending her, at least in part, in error, because it looks like maybe she did have a part in this, but if so, an unknowing part. Then you guys interviewed the commander, and basically he's like, look, the commander's like, look, I am duty bound to take her back with this new evidence, and I need to report to my superiors and the king what has taken place here. And he's like, look, I will do that. And basically he's like, look, I sympathize with your point, because you guys were like, well, we didn't we killed your guys on accident, and we've saved one of them. This is not, we did not attack you guys on purpose, and certainly we have
No, we didn't attack them at all. We defended ourselves after they attacked.
Well, they didn't attack you, they attacked the hobbits.
No, Arendar got attacked, which is why an arrow
I don't remember any of that.
it happened.
Okay, now we're talking.
I thought
we're
we just
talk-
like kind of got involved and asked too many questions, and they started getting irritated with us.
What prompted it was, if I recall correctly, we can go back to the video at some point, but what prompted it was some of the Talons pulled the halfling, because first that the halflings were like, she's not here. Then they're like, you can't take us, we're merchants and we've done nothing. And then they found the halfling in the back of the wagon and pulled her out and basically said, I found her. The fact that she's hiding in a hidden place in the wagon proves their guilt. At which point the commander was like, well, I guess that's summary execution for you. And that's when you guys stepped in.
Right.
Yeah, but
So
the one
don't
guy,
blame him.
the one guy got arrows to the chest immediately after he did a ride-by attack on Arendelle.
He did do that, but largely that was because you guys were had suddenly jumped into the fight. So, I mean, potato. There's all sorts of guilt in this situation that can be passed around.
Okay, I give up.
Chuck, you look aghast there.
Well, the idea that an unknowing accomplice got duped into this is suddenly guilty of on some point of the assassination. That's like saying the poor bastard that made these arrows is also guilty for the death of the Talons because I put them in the Talons.
We could talk about that. We probably need to talk to some arrow makers back at Sequin about this.
That's ridiculous. There's no logic to that at all.
Sometimes legal systems are more rudimentary than others. I mean, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically the guy's like, look, I don't want to die. I'm sympathetic to your point. However, I have a halfling here who is largely admitted, perhaps unknowingly, but at least some measure of complicity here.
Yep.
And I have to take this information back to my king.
Right. And we actually encourage that.
Right. But he also said, look, here, but he's also like, look, I have lost 2 men here, and I have to explain that. Now, I get where you're coming from, that this could be chalked up, at least in some part, to self-defense. Unknowing, they did attack you, that kind of thing. Perhaps in error, obviously. Maybe they assumed that you were with the halflings. They assumed, you guys came out of nowhere, he says. But he's like, look, what I can promise you is that I will go back to Bresk and I will tell them the story verbatim. What happened here? I will tell them exactly the story. I won't emphasize things. I will explain to them the reasons why it was likely that the 2 Talons died. But what I can't do is either lie on your behalf or go back without the halfling. Now, he
Right.
also admitted that the other halflings seem to be, to his mind, they seem to be purely innocent of this.
Right.
And he's willing to let them go back, and they want to go back. He's like, I need this one. This one's got to come back with me.
Actually, there's 3 of them that are going back.
These two here?
The girl who's
Oh, because they killed somebody, didn't
and
they?
then basically I
Yeah.
knocked a guard off that had just killed one of them
hmm
off the horse to stop the mayhem.
Yeah, they
And then they were
murdered him.
threatening him, and I said, "Do not do anything to him." And then I
And
went
then-
out to get the scourge chick, and then they assassinated him anyway.
Yeah, they killed him. So
So
so there's
those two are
several
going
people
back.
going back. Yeah, they're going back as well. They have to, but he's like, look, they have to face the Justicars. They have committed crimes in Bresk. They have committed crimes in the kingdom. They have to answer for these. They have to face the Justicar.
And no, we're in complete agreements with that. And that's why we're going with them.
Well, right, and that was sort of what came out at the end was like, look,
We were headed here.
Should we-
But guess what? We're going to go.
yeah,
back
you guys were headed to Duke Gallo's Gallowfend, which is the castle of
Right.
Duke Gallo. But now you're thinking, well, maybe we should skip Duke Gallo and go straight to Bresk so that we can speak on our own behalf at the very least. And Balin, the diplomat, is like, well, maybe this is the gods telling us that we need to go there, because he's of the mind too that maybe going straight to Bresk with these guys.
Well, the whole
is
point
the
of
best
this
way.
was the whole point of us doing this entire big mission is that the bad guys are trying to get through the mountains so they can basically wipe out the elves and secret that whole area.
Right.
And the whole thing is we're trying to convince him that's not a good idea to let these guys through. And we just have proof and like witnesses that these guys were smuggling stuff in. It doesn't admit guilt, doesn't admit that the Sargovans are responsible for the poisoning, but it definitely looks like they were involved in some way.
Well, I mean, potentially. Well, I mean, what the halfling story is essentially, look, I was given a box to deliver to this guy in Bresk. This is like 2 days before the
And then
poison.
shortly after that, King's family starts getting poisoned.
I mean, I know the Sargovan argument is going to be, we have nothing. We don't know who this Joss guy is. We have nothing to do with it. If there's some, I mean, these are merchants. They take trading goods all the time. They do deliveries all the time. This is what merchants do. Why would this suddenly make us guilty of this horrible crime? I mean, that would be their argument.
Right. But
as evidence, it lacks a certain compellingness.
I don't know. This isn't the slam dunk, we're done. But this starts to paint a picture that maybe these Sargovans aren't on the up and up like they're trying to present themselves.
True. And I mean, yeah, I mean, your discussions that you've had with other people are sort of lead that, the Sargovans certainly are not above this. And maybe they, if they felt that they could get an advantage by poisoning the king's family, and then coming and saying, oh, this is terrible, we're here to help, to sort of win him over to allowing them this access, they'll do it. If they can co-opt King Steppengard, I mean, he runs a lot of these mountains.
Yeah.
He's not a weak, lack of powerful person.
Right. And so we're going back just to make sure. One was, like I said, we speak for ourselves.
Right.
And the other is if this starts going a non-favorable direction for us, if we're there, we can help steer it back, whether by investigating stuff further, getting more leads, whatever, we can, keep this from spiraling the opposite direction.
Right. Okay. And so ultimately, you guys decided that maybe it might be an idea to go to Bresk first, before going to Gallowfend. And I'm ultimately, I guess my question to you guys is that still your decision?
Yeah.
Well, then that being the case, also, so say we all?
So we all. Also, greetings, friends. Good to
Hey,
see you.
Eric, good to see you, buddy.
I'm going.
We all say
I haven't talked yet. Is my mic working today?
It is, yeah, we can hear you.
I hear
It
you.
is? Okay.
Hey, Gordon.
Great. Awesome. Hey.
All right, so how is this going to work? You've got, so are you guys all going to travel together?
Well,
Like,
not gonna split the
Why
party.
wouldn't we?
No. I don't mean you guys as a party. I mean, so you guys have a couple of wagons, and you've got Balin the diplomat, and you guys are like heading that there. So you got your own stuff. You've got a wagon full of, well, not full of anymore, but with some hobbits, and they're saying we're going home. We have nothing to do with this. We have
Yeah,
no
they're wanting
desire
to
to
go
go
the
back.
other way.
Yeah,
They want to go home.
and Frelk is basically along the lines of, look, these guys, I got no problem with. These two and this one have to go back with us. And so,
Right.
but they don't have a wagon, they just have horses. So
Well,
there's
we'd offer our wagon or whatever to kind of help.
carry the
I'm
halflings.
of the opinion, and anybody here in our party can disagree with me. I'm of the opinion that I'm going to try and get on these guys. I want to help these guys as much as I can, because especially this captain, he's going back to plead our case. Now, if he likes us, that's human nature. He's going to paint us in a better picture than if we, knock yourself out, do this on your own, sucks to be you. Then it might not be the best picture that he paints of us. So I'm of the opinion that we help them get these guys back, travel with them, and try to build a rapport. Not only whenever he gets back to report, but it'd be nice to have someone that trusts us and likes us when we get here. So as we're investigating or trying to, sway people our direction, we've got someone on the inside that at least knows how this place works. Because we're outsiders. We don't know who's who or how this place works. So it'd be nice to have someone that we've traveled with for a while, built up a rapport, and then we can kind of use them to help us get around.
It's not a terrible idea.
That's my opinion. So like I said, everyone else can chime in and
Our main goal is to turn the king against our Sargavans, right? That's what we're
Yep.
trying to do here.
King
Okay.
of Bresk. We want to turn the king of Bresk against the Sargavans.
Right. Yeah. So that they don't go through the gap and
Right on. Got it. Okay. I'm actually reading up on tinybatman.com the recaps here. Hang on.
No. I'm probably like, for this one, I'm probably like 2 recaps back. So don't read too much into it.
Well, it's like that actually a really cool story. I mean, I'm into the story, and it is a good story, well told. I am just trying to catch up a little bit.
No worries.
All good.
But yeah, so basically, you guys are traveling from Sequin to Bresk, to the court of King Steppengard. The idea is that Sargavan 5 Corps is on the other side of the Elite Gap, and it's coming up on winter, and these mountains are very tall. So whereas it's more temperate in the lowlands and in the riverlands, once you get into the mountains, it's quite cold. Lots of snow, lots of things. Much more what you would expect from a dwarven kingdom. Now, this dwarven kingdom is divided up into several courts with nobles of both dwarven and human, sort of
Ancestry.
Yeah, right. So, it's not necessarily a purely dwarven kingdom, but the king King Steppengard is a dwarf of a lengthy lineage, and has been part of this. Here, let me show you. All right, so this map sort of breaks out all the different sort of sub kingdoms of the kingdom of the Bandu Hills. Steppengard's capital city is Bresk, and that's where his court is, and that's where his home is. You have a variety of other aristocrats. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 individual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 other individual aristocrats who hold various territories and have various leanings when it comes to sequence. So you're accompanying Balin, who is sort of a diplomat without portfolio, but has historically always taken up. He's a long-term friend of Simeon of the Lyceum, and he has acted on behalf of Sequin as a diplomat to various kingdoms. Sequin is, in many ways, a lot like Gate Pass, in that it was sort of an independent city. it didn't really pay homage to any of the local lords, although it had good relationships with many of them. Balin is known in Bresk and has acted on behalf of the town of Sequin as a diplomat, sort of without portfolio, on several other occasions, and he's been called in because of this information that they've got about the Sargavans wanting to come through the Elite Gap, which really is the only way to get a large army through the Bandu Hills during winter. Dugallo is a friend to Sequin, and various other people are of varying levels of support for Sequin, or not support for Sequin, or support for Sargava. And yeah, so the idea was, once it became clear that the Sargavans were on the south side of the hills and wanted to come through the Elite Gap, Simeon went to Balin and said, "We need you to go to Bresk, talk to King Steppengard, and keep this from happening, because if they get through, there's all kinds of military shit that will go bad." In that interstitial period is when King Steppengard's almost his entire family is murdered by poison. So it's like he's got a huge family. And his firstborn son, the crown prince, was killed. His wife was killed. There's a lot of his family. It has driven him in many ways over the edge. He sees enemies everywhere. Steppengard is not a cowardly man. He is a warrior of some note. He's personally quite brave. But this struck at his heart, and so he sees enemies everywhere. The Sargavans, even if they are not directly responsible for what's happened, are trying to take advantage of it and portraying themselves as Steppengard's friends and confidants, so that he will give them the access that he needs. Gallo, as a friend to Sequin, doesn't want to give them the access, but Gallo is also a loyal subject of King Steppengard, and if Steppengard orders him to open the Elite Pass to the Sargavan Five Corps, he'll do it, because it's his king, and that's in large part what Simeon has asked you to assist with, is basically Balin going to King Steppengard and trying to convince them not to give the Sargavans access to the Elite Gap. The problem is the whole situation is complicated by the idea of this mass assassination that is taking place of the king's family, and it has thrown the city of Bresk into uproar. It has thrown a lot of things in place. There's a lot of things that would not otherwise be happening now because of this. Eric, does that help?
It helps a lot.
Okay.
I'm also, and actually your recap from last October is actually
on point. Okay, good.
On point. Good.
So that's where you guys find yourself. So now, from your point of view, are you accompanying? I'm assuming you're accompanying them back to Bresk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless someone else says something different. I think
all right.
we accompany them and help them out. We'll help, keep their prisoners, eat with them. Basically, like I said, I'm trying to build up a rapport.
Okay.
And I'm going to do rolls on the dice and all that, just to basically, because my guys are going to be putting quite the effort in to build that relationship.
Okay. All right.
I can aid for that.
Gotcha. Okay. You are still several days from Bresk, and you have to basically. So you guys are about right here right now, getting ready to sort of do this sort of fish hook maneuver to get to Gallowfend. You can't go straight there because of the way the mountains are. You kind of have to go around and up. But in this case, you sort of backtracking. You'll go past the town of Cookham where you met the Princess Shalosha, not only a couple of days ago, and stayed there with her. Now, Princess Shalosha has not come up with these guys; they haven't mentioned her or anything, and I don't know what you guys want to do, but that's the direction. You're talking about probably a 5 days travel to get to Bresk. At least part of that in the high mountains. Now, before you left Sequin, you were provided with warm weather gear and stuff like that, so that's not necessarily a big deal. But you will be going into the mountains where it's quite cold.
Okay.
All right. That being the case, Everybody is cool with this course of action where you're going to accompany these Talons and their prisoners back to Bresk to see what can be done.
Um,
Guessing by the silence, that's a yes.
Silence
yes.
connotes assent.
Sorry.
I can't remember the duration. Is my flying spell still in place?
Probably not. I mean, you guys have been talking with these guys for a while. Fly spell lasts a while though, so it might be. I mean,
I think it's a minute around.
yeah, it's probably over.
Or
All
a
right,
minute
so
alone, I mean.
I get to reset all my spells at this point then.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will be traveling for a couple of days, so for about 5 days to get to Bresk. So you'll have multiple chances to reset spells, things like that. That kind of stuff. It's not
That's
gonna
gonna-
real quick too before we leave this whole thing.
Mhm.
I know there was a wand, I think, of searing light that the Sargavan had. Was there any other treasure that we got? Did we deal with that last time?
She had 12 gold pieces and 14 silver pieces on her of Sargavan mint. These are Sargavan coins, but other than that, just traveling gear and things like that. Average stuff, nothing fancy. That and the wand.
Okay. Chuck, you're doing that on this campaign, right?
Yeah.
I think. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take the wand of searing light. I don't think anybody else can use that. I believe it's a clerical thing.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm not interested in anything.
Has 19 charges on it.
Oh, okay, thanks, Les.
All right, so the Talon guys will want to bring the bodies of their friends back as well, and are hoping to presume upon at least a little bit more space in your wagon that you said you've set aside for the prisoners. Can they do that? Okay. And with that, I mean, I'm assuming you guys pull down the zone of truth, and everybody sort of gets packed up. Poe, I see you've aided diplomacy. Mike, is Arendar trying to at least partially ingratiate himself? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's coming at it from since Captain's a martial guy, he's coming at it very much. He's not kissing his butt. He's just more of a finding martial things they've got in common and using that as to build rapport, not kissing his butt the whole time, hoping that that works, because that's not Arendar's MO.
The comradeship of old soldiers.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Give me a diplomacy check, and you've got an aid from things, so add +2 to it from Poe, who's helping you out there.
Can I aid?
You can.
Wow.
I don't think he needs it. He got a 30.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'm
Go ahead, Abe.
just here to clap.
Andrew, you gonna roll?
Do
Or
I
no?
need to?
Probably not.
30?
I mean, with a 30, that's pretty good. So, yeah, you probably don't. So it doesn't take long, and you guys get on the road. The other hobbits go. You can see that the hobbits who are completely innocent in this seem a little disgusted with their friends. More so with what's her name?
Right.
Beckoff. But less so, but at least a little bit with the two that had that had killed one of the Talons. But they head off to the north, and you guys continue on. You guys travel for a couple of days, and as you guys are traveling, you do find yourselves growing increasingly sympathetic, both with the hobbits and with the Talons. Frelk is a reasonable person. You learn about him that he has a long history of being a Bresk constable. He's human, but he's worked for the dwarven authorities for many years. And generally speaking, once you start to get to know him, you realize that he's generally speaking at least in his eyes, a pretty even-handed guy. You definitely get the idea that the assassination of the king's family really took him hard as well. He was like, this is something that had never happened. He's a loyal subject of the king, and he's the essentially it was an act of mass murder. And he was quite taken aback by that, as he would freely admit were most people. They were angered. They were taken aback with the idea that somebody would do such a thing. It was quite an affront, and is still considered so. But I mean, you get the impression that largely he tries to be as fair and even-handed a guy as he can. He'll also tell you that the idea that the idea of the talons is quite new, and not at all sort of. He was a little uncomfortable with the idea that there's like a secret police, but they're really not a secret police. He really kind of thinks of it as being more of like a special investigative force to try and get to the bottom of what's happened with the king's family, and that's really what their remit is. And if they proceed with too much zeal, I mean, how much zeal is too much when it comes to finding out who assassinated your liege lord's family, right?
Right.
They're not ashamed to be aggressive, in finding out, who's done this. And you could tell every time he talks about it, this whole situation has really offended his sensibilities in many ways.
Hey, Les,
Actually works
the
out
king
well for us. Oh, go ahead, Gordon.
is the king of this whole area. Is all of these people that we've been talking about, is he over all of them? So like this commander, he actually had jurisdiction on this road. Like he wasn't. I mean, they're not.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You mean like so you guys are about here, and technically that would be, sort of the beginning of Duke Gallo and maybe Lady Timor's area, probably closer to Lady Timor's. These borders are not hard and fast borders, but the king oversees everything. So Frelk will tell you that the talons basically have been chartered by King Steppengard to essentially cross whatever borders they need to, including international borders if need to. The idea being that the crime was so heinous that who amongst the king's allies would deny the investigators of the king the ability to find these people, right?
Mhm.
It's like
here they definitely have jurisdiction. I mean, there's no question about like international
Oh,
travel
no, yeah, no, nothing like,
they're
yeah.
definitely-
Yeah, it's definitely up this far into the mountains. They're outside of Lord Shaladel's realm, and definitely in King Steppengard's. Yeah, it's kind of the no true Scotsman argument, right? No true Scotsman would ever do such a thing. From King Steppengard's eyes, no true ally would ever, prevent my duly appointed investigators from finding out who's committed this terrible crime against me, right? It's that argument.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, granted, we killed one of the investigators, but had we not done what we did, they would have just killed this woman and they wouldn't even know what the hell happened. They wouldn't know the true story. So, I mean, it's really, it's kind of a conundrum.
Well, I mean, when you got there, remember there was a big heated argument going on, and there was, and it was proceeding rapidly towards fisticuffs when you guys arrived. I mean,
got the weapon out like he was getting ready to hack her in two.
Well, yeah, I mean, that one guy was flat out said, all right, I got her. It's time for summary execution. Now, the commander didn't order that, but in the heat of the moment, yeah, it happens. But you're right. I mean, Poe's right that they wouldn't have been able to get this information out of her because she certainly hadn't owned up to it then.
So yeah, that's a good point that we need to bring up whenever we're in front of people, is that we're helping your cause out here. We've already done that, and like I said, this works out great that he's an investigator, because at least at this stage, we're investigators too, because we want to find out what happened, but obviously we want it to be the Sargavans that did it because we want to get that out in the open, because that'll pretty much put a kibosh on them coming through the mountains.
Well, here's a problem. What if you can't find the evidence you need?
Right. Or what if we find evidence that it was someone on our side, which I can't imagine it being, but that was.
That's, I mean, who on your side would do it? I mean, you think that surely this wouldn't be a Vortbird operation. Frankly, you don't think he has the range.
Right. Oh, he would definitely assassinate. He's already shown that he'll assassinate whoever he wants to get his job done or get whatever he wants done.
True. That's absolutely true. And I mean, you've got a lot of proof to that extent, but he's more of a local guy.
But yeah, he's more worried about that town and gaining power there, and then just fighting Sargavans down there. He wouldn't.
Yeah, we don't really know the interrelationships of all these dukes and
right.
The dwarves. Well, I mean, who knows who could have done it? I mean.
Well, some of it. I mean, as Balin is aware of these guys, right? So, and you got and Simeon and Balin basically sort of informed you about what these guys are all about. Steppengard is obviously the ruler. He's an experienced warrior, and largely has been a friend to Sequin in the past. But the death of his family has been, has sort of unhinged him a little bit. Now, that's not to say that he blames Sequin. That hasn't come up.
But if Sequin shows up and says, "Hey, we're your best friend here to help, and oh, by the way, just let us come through here, and we'll provide all kinds of help."
Right. I mean, it's the
Sargavans would do it.
Yeah, I think Sequin really doesn't want anything from Steppengard other than for him to not let the Fifth Corps through, right? Because that will be largely the end of Sequin. But Steppengard may not be making that connection. And surely the Sargavans have been downplaying the strength and the aims of the Fifth Corps. Yeah. Lord Gallo, who you guys in large part find to be, or Duke Gallo, I should say. Duke Gallo is probably, from what Balin tells you, probably the staunchest ally of Sequin and friend to you guys that you have. He's been a duke for a long time. In the past, he and Steppengard fought together in several battles that defended the mountains from various places. His land sits astride the Elite Gap. And frankly, at least according to Balin, he doesn't want to let the Sargavans through, and so would be a obvious ally of Sequin.
Right.
Then you have Lady Timor, and is
that the magic chick?
Yes.
So Lady Timor, yeah, she's here. Let's go here. So here's Lady Timor. She's human, and she was the youngest daughter of the former Lord Timor. The only daughter of the former Lord Timor. She's a wizard, considered to be a wizard of modest power. She has her lands contain a weird sort of landform called the Glaskeel Cliffs, which is this weird half-mile high ice glacier that separates hers from Gallo's lands. What Balin says is the likelihood is that Timor is very worried about Sargava, and she's looking for assistance. So she might be receptive to an alliance with Sequin, because she's not enamored with the Sargavans by any stretch of the imagination. She fears them because it's sort of like the idea of comparatively recent. She's received power from her father, who died of natural causes, wasn't involved in any of this. This is a couple of years ago, but she's inexperienced. She's young. She's not used to doing things. She sees the Sargavans as being sort of a menace to her power, which she hasn't even really taken control of yet. So she's a potential ally as well. Then you have over here you have Duke Gallo, and then you have Duke Dashkaban, which is he's a dwarven lord, and he has held lands in this region for well over a century. We're not sure how he feels about it, although he has how he feels about this whole Sargovan thing is unknown, but he has said that he has no wish to be king. So and he said that publicly, and he said it many times long before now. Now it could be he thinks the lady doth protest too much, but historically he has been a loyal subject of Steppengard and has made it clear that even though he legitimately could be in a position to step in as king, that he does not want to be king of the Bandu Hills. He has said that out loud. Then you have Baron Magadon. And Baron Magadon is he's one of the richest nobles and controls some stuff. But he largely, at least to ask him, he doesn't believe that Sargava is a threat. He's a dwarven merchant of note and largely became a baron based on his financial contributions to the kingdom. Great friend of King Steppengard, and probably the single wealthiest dwarf in the entire kingdom, including the king. But he has no love for Sargava either, because he thinks it would be, if the Sargavans took over completely, he thinks it would be bad for business. Then you have Lord Is. He is a younger lord, known to be quite loyal to the king, and in many ways represents the youthful, more warlike dwarven contingent of the kingdom, right? The king's quite old, and he's been king for a long time. When he needs firepower, he talks to Lord Is. And then you have Rhaego, Baron Rhaego, who is against Sequin for reasons that we've gone into before.
Right.
And he had a lot of refugees going through, and frankly, he has said publicly in the past that if Sequin were wiped off the map, there would not be a single tear shed by Baron Rhaego. And then you have Lady Dane. She is very desirous of money and power. She's probably the most transparently acquisitive of all the dwarven lords, and she extracts. She's sometimes she's referred to as Madame Tollbooth. Because anybody who crosses her lands has to pay tolls and that kind of stuff. But she doesn't really have a very strong army of her own, and so is always sort of like ensuring that she kisses up to Lord Is, she kisses up to King Steppengard, but she wants to be rich. And then you have Lady Naaman. Lady Naaman is a young, quite beautiful dwarven woman, and makes no. I mean, it's pretty obvious that ultimately, with the queen sort of dead now, that she sees herself as being the next most likely candidate to become queen, and is actively sort of seeking that position out. It's a little bit transparent, but realistically, she's got better than even money on the likelihood of, when things calm down, becoming the queen. She doesn't have she's not super enamored of the Sargavans, but she also doesn't like the Sequin people either. She wants one thing that you guys need to be aware of is she was a great friend to Princess Shalosha. They were good friends, and when she was killed at Sequin, Lady Naaman does not. I mean, she's actively hostile to Sequin and those from there, because she believes they killed her friend.
Princess Shalosha. She wasn't killed there. She escaped.
Oh wait, who was killed? I'm sorry, not Princess Shalosha, the Paladin lady.
The Paladin.
Yeah, she was friends with the Paladin lady. She's also friends with Princess Shalosha. So they were all sort of pals, right? So imagine there's like a regional coterie of young, powerful, aristocratic women who are sort of like acquaintances of each other. They would naturally gravitate toward each other. And if they are, if they are similar of mind in many ways, they would naturally become friends. It's like the old idea of who do celebrities marry? Other celebrities, because those are the people they talk to, right? So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Princess Shalosha and
Laura Beck is the name.
Laura Beck and Lady Naaman would become friends, because they all inhabit this strange sort of weirdly ephemeral position of women who are wealthy and aristocratic and have power in this region. It's natural, and they were. So Lady Naaman and Princess Shalosha are friends. They were both friends with Laura Beck. They are both very irritated with Sequin about the fact that Laura Beck was killed. Now, you guys have talked with Shalosha. It's possible maybe you have to have a conversation with Naaman, Lady Naaman, about this and explain to her, look, this was Vortbert that did this. We have evidence. We know this happened. Yeah. So it's possible you have an opportunity
we
to do that.
did a lot for that group there and her friends in Sequin. So
yeah, exactly. Right. So and it may be that she hasn't heard that yet. She's definitely got multiple things going on. She definitely wants to be the next queen, but obviously she's not going to just throw herself at the king, because the king, these murders only happened within the last couple of weeks.
Right.
So it's very much front of mind for the people of Bresk and everybody in the Bandu Hills, frankly.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did the commander agree to send someone to talk to Duke Gallo and fill him in on where we were going? Because we were going to go talk to him, but then we decided not to. But we were going to try to.
I don't think so. Balin, or you guys were going to stop by Gallows on the way to Bresk to sort of cement your relationship with him, explain to him what you guys were trying to do. But it wasn't like a planned meeting. I don't think Balin had sent any word ahead that you guys were heading to Gallows. Balin will tell you that he's good enough friends with Duke Gallo that just showing up at Gallowfend would be okay. At Gallows Castle, they've worked together in the past. Duke Gallo is a friend to Sequin. He and Balin are pals.
Right.
So it would have been okay for you guys to just go there, which I think that you guys were doing. I don't know that he sent word ahead. Probably to try and avoid any trouble.
I thought we had talked about trying to get the commander to send somebody there just to fill him in on what was happening. So if he chose to, he could try to maybe meet us, or at least he would know what was going on, because I mean, he's the one who's most impacted by this next to Sequin. Because I mean, that the Sargavans, when they go through there, they're not going to, they're not going to be nice about it. I mean, even if they don't do it now, on their way back, probably they're going to take over that country.
Well, yeah, theoretically. I mean, if they need to, one of the things that Balin will tell you is that the lords of the Bandu Hills are quite loyal, at least ostensibly, to Steppengard. The only one, I mean, there's none of these people that you could point to and say they're disloyal. They might be in league with the Sargavans here. There's going to be a problem. And figure it from the Sargavans' point of view. If they can get the king to give them the access to the Elite Pass that they need, and the king becomes ostensibly an ally of Sargava, no reason to take over. There's no reason to piss off the lords. The Sargavans will own them through the king, because they are largely. I mean, every indication is that they are largely loyal. There's no one you can point to and say, "Yep, that's the traitor right there." Now they all have their own shit going on, but like any aristocratic thing, there will be ups and downs and continuums of loyalty and deceit. But no one jumps out at you guys as being like, this is the guy that might be in league with the Sargavans.
Interesting. Well, I'm actually getting into all of these stories. What does Sequin have to offer? Does Sequin have any power or chips in the game? Or
well, Sequin's chips in the game were, let me say, threefold. One, like Gate Pass, it's an independent city, and these are fairly rare. And you can imagine independent cities tend to piss off the people that want to exercise power over them. Now, the reason Gate Pass has always been fiercely independent because of its trade routes, right? It is the pass through the mountains, right? So there was a lot of trade. It was very commercially focused. But the people who are from Gate Pass have always been fiercely independent of their fiercely protective of their independence. which they have had to sort of struggle with politically because Sargava has always had designs on Gate Pass. Sequin is largely in the same position, but Sequin is different from Gate Pass in that it's far more remote from Elidir, the capital of Sargava. And so is sort of like a distant kind of thing. Sargava has bigger fish to fry. Sequin's second area of power is the fact that they sit astride one of the largest rivers in the southern continent. And there's a lot of traffic from the north. Yeah, let's go back to that map. We can do that. Let's actually go back to, I think, this one maybe. This may be a better map. Yeah, so this is a big map here. So you see Sequin over here. So Sequin dominates this river system and basically is the gateway to the north through the Kavalands. So this is really the safest way, because remember, out here is where those those crazy hobbits were. So the Kavalands are full of those demon worshipping hobbits. It's a very dangerous place. But the river is largely safe, and Sequin has been sort of the last stop, right? This is the city on the river. They've benefited from their relationships with the elves who control the river valley to the south, which gives them access to various places. And they have this whole area south of Sequin is probably some of the most fertile agricultural land in all of Sargava. So you have lots of farming, lots of agricultural products, which help to make Sequin a commercial success. Thirdly, and probably most importantly for Sequin, you have the Lyceum, which is the single largest school of arcane magic in the entire region. But it also puts a target on them from Elidir, because the new strength of Sargava is the Sargavan Scourge. And one of the precepts of the Scourge is that they hate arcane magic. They believe that divine magic is the only kind of magic that should be practiced. So you guys will remember when you guys were still in Gate Pass, Sargavan Scourge, gangs of Scourge were hunting down magic users and taking them either into custody or ostensibly killing them in self-defense, right? So that's a lot of what the Scourge is doing. And most of these corps are either led by Scourge, or have Scourge associated in the senior leadership of the military. So basically, you have a church militant that is taken over in large part the Sargavan military, who are now the point of the spear.
Maybe Lady Timor would have colleagues who were harassed or purged.
It's very possible. Like I said, she's a wizard of what people consider to be modest to moderate power. She hasn't really probably had enough time to become a powerful wizard. But wizards run in her family, and she's got private tutors and things like that are schooling her up. But she just hasn't had enough time to become a powerful wizard. But just being a wizard at all would put her in the sights of the Scourge.
All right. Okay. Well, that's helpful. Okay. Huh. Sequin. Okay. What would happen if Sequin were conquered by?
Well, I mean, if Sargavan, so you've got the military situation was quite fraught, right? So you've got 3 corps under Inquisitor Rullus, who's basically come up the river valley and was trying to enter this area, but Lord Shaladel's forces, including those of Princess Shalosha, have basically stopped him here at this place, just to the north of Gate Pass. They're fighting this way, and they're trying to get to the thing. The 5 corps had come around this way because they had initially thought that the problems associated with the Mwangi were going to be a much bigger problem. 5 corps is probably the largest army of Sargavans in the field right now.
Okay.
But they found themselves out of position, essentially. Now they're being attacked by an army called the glorious Agala Osib, which is basically the Osib Mwangi coming out of the Screaming Jungle, joining forces and attacking these guys. And they're giving them a devil of a time, frankly. And you can see, I think. Wait, hold on. Wait, what? Whoop. Here we go. So you can see the Glorious Agalosi coming out of the Screaming Jungle. They're
Got
coming
it.
up the river and they're attacking 5 Corps. And this, but it's largely a battle of attrition, right? These are not. Hello, good night. These are largely irregular forces. They're not. I'm not saying they're not competent,
Right.
but they are certainly
Sure.
less. Imagine, for example, I'm trying to think of a good analog. Imagine the Sargavan 5 Corps as a Roman legion, and the glorious Agala Osib is, say, something along the lines of a a North African contingent from various countries and tribes.
Okay.
Right. So you've got these very skilled sort of professional soldiers against people who are defending their lands, who have various skills, but they're not armored knights by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
Sort of light cavalry, bowmen, skirmishers, that kind of stuff. What happens is if 5 Corps wants to help 3 Corps, and they realize that they're having problems in the north. They also realize that Sequin is becoming a place where refugees from the south and west are streaming towards and piling up. Now, you guys know that Vordbert is building or trying to build an army to go out into the field and fight. He's invited you guys to join it, to train it. If 5 Corps can go through the Elite Gap and essentially get behind Lord Shaladil's Plains Elves, what that does is it creates it puts Shaladil's forces in a pincher, right? They've got people on both sides. So they have to fight a 2-front war. And frankly, according to Balin, the likelihood is, according to Vortbert you haven't talked to, but according to people that you know to be soldiers, if 5 Corps gets across the Elite Bass, they're coming to come up behind Lord Shaladil's cavalry, and they're going to, between them and 3 Corps, they're going to wipe them out. And once they do that, Sequin will fall like a domino. Lord Shaladil's forces far outnumber what Sequin can put to field, even if they were able to arm every refugee that came up the river. So 5 Corps has found itself in a position. Sargava has found itself in a position where their biggest army, they have misjudged who they're supposed to be fighting, who's causing them the most problems. And now they have decided that Shaladil and Sequin need to fall, and to do that, they have to get their army across the Elite Pass.
Let's see. Okay.
Hold that thought for a second. I gotta reload my whiskey.
I think this is a completely manageable situation. No sweat. Got this.
Oh, okay.
Well. It's much easier to punch guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like hacking people apart. It's very simple. So Andrew, you will get, I'm sure when we get to talking to people, you will get put in front of everyone just because you are the best orator we've got.
Yes.
Guess I better brush my teeth.
Yes.
Get the broccoli out first.
And the pubes.
Oh my God.
Planning on having a good time in Bresk, are we?
It was the Super Bowl. What can I say?
Here's who you have to impress right here.
Stepping guard. Yeah.
Lady Dane.
Oh.
There's your girl, boy.
Lady Dane ain't such a great Dane.
But yeah, basically that's sort of the political situation as it stands now, at least as much as now. The problem is suddenly you have this mass assassination of King Steppengard's family, which has driven him around the bend. Now he's got a secret police force that's looking all over the place. Bresk itself is sort of, who knows what's going on there. And you guys are going to have to try and convince this guy that it wasn't Sequin who did this, or it wasn't, that the Sargavans are not his friends. You don't really have much evidence other than this halfling who said she delivered a box to a half-orc in Bresk 2 days before the poisonings began.
Right.
It's it's circumstantial evidence at best, and it prompts more questions than it answers. But it does seem to be like a step in the right direction.
Step in the right direction, and plus, we've talked about what can Sequin offer them, whatever. Well, that's us. That's what we're doing here.
Right. Well,
Um,
and Sequin and Bresk and King Steppengard and the Lyceum and the Council of Sequin have always been tacit allies. Balin has been to Bresk and has had audiences with King Steppengard on several occasions in the past,
Mhm.
and he's brokered good trade deals. He's they have. I don't know that you would call it an alliance, because Sequin doesn't really represent a fully formed political community, right?
Right.
Alliances are between countries. This is a town, a city.
Right.
So it's more along the line of a commercial agreement, a trade agreement, these kind of things, a non-aggression pact. Balin will tell you right away that most of the stuff that he has brokered with King Steppengard has been largely commercial in nature. How do we, King Steppengard's like, I would love to have tons of river fish brought to my city to help feed my people. Sequin's like, well, we have tons of river fish, but we don't have a lot of dwarven silver, so we would love dwarven silver from the mountains. And those are the kind of deals that happen.
Right. So anyway, we're one of the things that Sequin can offer. I mean, obviously, I'm going to tote us more than what we are, but we are.
You
we
mean
are-
like your service, like you're putting you going into the service of the
we are
king
a
kind of
competent
thing?
group that gets stuff done.
That's true.
We are an
So
elite group.
us showing up, like I said, I'm overselling us, but for right now, you kind of have to anyway. But you know what? We can say, hey, they sent, us as the best ones to kind of get to the bottom of this and help you out. And then I don't see a problem with being upfront and honest and saying, look, we're trying to help you out because we don't want these people coming across the mountains, because we know it's trouble for us and we think it's trouble for you too.
Right. And if you can find evidence, if you can find proof that it was the Sargavans who poisoned his family,
Oh, then we're done.
then yeah, job over.
Yeah.
The problem is
Right.
finding that proof.
Exists.
Right. Yeah. And if the Sargavans are low enough to stoop to mass poisonings of a king's family to get what they want, what else? I mean, there's really nothing barred to them.
Right.
They'll do whatever it takes.
But like I said, we can kind of sell ourselves as, hey, we're the elite group that's been sent to investigate, poke around, and figure out what's going on.
The pros from Dover.
And we can sell ourselves as, hey, we're outsiders, so we don't have, if there's anyone corrupt inside, or if there's anything that someone inside might overlook because this is the way things have always been done, that's not us.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that you guys can also capitalize on potentially is the idea that you're from Gate Pass. Gate Pass and Steppengard and the Bandu Hills have always been fast friends. Now that doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, it's like Gate Pass. First of all, the denizens of Gate Pass are mountain people, right?
Right.
Steppengard appreciates that. He understands that it's tougher in the mountains, right?
Mhm.
And two, he's always sort of considered Gate Pass. Steppengard has always considered Gate Pass as sort of his buddies, his down at the south end of the Bandu Hills. They're tough, no nonsense mountain people, just like me, that kind of thing. And while they're not part of his kingdom, there's always the Steppengard and Gate Pass have always had good relationships, more positive, frankly, than Steppengard and Sequin.
Right. So yeah, maybe it's not sell ourselves so much as Sequinites, but we're from Gate Pass. We're temporarily relocated to Sequin while we deal with Sargavans.
Well, he's going to be well aware of the situation in Gate Pass.
Right.
Steppengard will.
So, to say, look, we're just here to help. And obviously here to help ourselves, but we're hoping this helps you as well.
Cool. Other questions about sort of the environment in which you guys are acting?
So do we know who? So we know this dwarven chick wants in on the king once things settle down.
Hold on. Lady
we know-
Naaman.
Yeah. Do we know? So we know the prince who was the next in line was killed. Do we know
Killed.
who currently?
Who's next in line?
So after him, who would have been next in line after that?
It's a young child. Who
Okay, so it's pretty safe to assume the child didn't orchestrate this.
No. Yeah, no, so there are a few surviving members of King Steppengard's family. One is a brother, a younger brother who's maybe a decade younger, but he is away. He hasn't been in the Bandu Hills for many years. Now he's an adventurer of sorts. He's gone up to the, according to rumor, and what Balin will tell you is he's gone up north and has been there for several years, almost a decade. His name is Raymond Steppengard.
Okay.
And
who else benefits from this?
well, everybody else in the family is young, so much too young to become stewards. So if Steppengard were to die, there would be some problems with succession, because the heirs now are quite young. I mean, the current heir would be Dagobert.
Who?
Dagobert Steppengard.
Okay.
And he's dwarven ages are a little different, but he's equivalent to about a 4-year-old.
Okay. So if it's outside the family, who outside the family would be next? Who outside the Steppengard family would?
Well, so Steppengard's still alive. So I mean, there's but
chances are, if they tried to assassinate the entire family and got a lot of them, but not all of them, they might have been trying for all of them.
If they managed to wipe out the entire family, probably the natural choice would have been Duke Dashgaban. He's been a duke for probably longer than anyone else has been a duke. What I mean is his family has been a duke of the Bandu for longer than anyone else's family has been a duke of the Bandu. He would be the next, I guess, for lack of a better term, he would be the next most aristocratic choice. And he's a dwarf.
But he's publicly said he doesn't want to do that
for years, because there have been instances where people have tried to instigate him, and this is years and years ago, where certain discontented factions or whatever have tried to instigate him and saying you should challenge Steppengard for authority of the Bandu and that kind of stuff. And this has happened on a couple of occasions. Now keep in mind, this is like 20-30 years ago. And Dashgaban has basically told them that I will never supplant my liege lord, essentially. And in one case, the earliest case, or the latest case, he actually turned the people who had come to him to try and say, you should take on Steppengard in a coup. And he basically said, no, in fact, I'm going to turn you over to Steppengard for fomenting this. So he basically, the people who approached him, he turned them in.
Okay. So it's fairly safe to assume he didn't orchestrate this unless he's like the master at playing the long game.
Well, it'll be a hell of a long game, because he has had, I mean, realistically, the first time that this happened, if you go back into Bandu Hills history, the first time that this happened would probably, it was when Steppengard had relatively recently taken over as king, from his father. And it was a weak point. He was at a weak point. He didn't have the strength and that kind of stuff. There was loyal. If Dashgaban had wanted to become king of the Bandu, that would have been the time for him to strike, and he did not.
Okay. All right. I was just looking for anyone on the inside that may have benefited from this or might, Okay.
By the way, King Steppengard's given name is Bodobert.
Bodobert
Steppengard.
I can see why I changed it to king, because man. All right. Okay, I'm good. Let's get going.
Okay. All right. So you begin traveling, and frankly, you get you become decent friends
Right.
with the commander. The halflings continue to bristle and are not happy that they are going to have to face a dwarven Justicar over what they've done. Beckhoff is frankly a bit of a mess. She alternates between periods of crying and weeping and periods of where she rails angrily against this injustice. I've done nothing wrong, that kind of stuff, to the point where you have to tell her to shut up a lot. The other two hobbits are the longer you guys travel, the more chagrined they get about what they have done. You know, especially with the learning that of what Beckhoff did with the box, because they're coming around to the idea that, frankly, this box is awfully freaking suspicious, and Beckhoff didn't tell them about that, and they basically they took her side and were found to have been in error, and that error cost a man his life. And now has put them in the dock based on a mistake. So they're not super happy with her. And you'll occasionally you'll hear them say, "Why don't you just shut up?" That kind of stuff. And, when she's whining about something or this or that. She's quite annoying. The Talon guards seem to be pretty equanimous. They're certainly at first not very happy with you guys, and there is a certain tenseness between you. They know. They know you killed their friends, but at the same time, they also now have a pretty good idea why. And their commander is, look, we're going to do this. And the commander is becoming fairly friendly, not only with you, Arendar, but also with Wraith,
just because you can't tell us
Poe.
apart.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. But also, he's a friendly guy, and you get to see sort of his point of view, right? There's a lot going on. So you guys travel for a couple of days without thing. You do pass by the city, the town of Cookham, and you make an excuse to sort of go into the tavern. So you remember what Shalosha told you, that there's that scroll case under the bar at the tavern,
Right.
that she leaves messages. You could leave her messages. Do you want to? You go and check it. There's no message from her.
Yes, I'm gonna leave a message that
Okay.
we need her to reach out to the dwarven chick who wants to be queen.
Lady Naaman,
Yeah.
and just contact her.
Tell her our history with Laura Beck and what we've done, that we are not her enemy. We are not one of the ones that, are responsible for her death. Matter of fact, we're quite the obviously this issue comes first, but we're all for bringing to justice the guy who killed her.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay.
I said, this obviously has to come first.
Right. Got it.
But just if she could somehow get word to her, because she'll trust it if it comes from her. I mean, us showing up and saying, "Hey, we were Laura Beck's friends," should be like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
right."
we're pals. Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right. You leave a message for her there, explaining,
Right.
please approach Lady Naaman on our behalf, that kind of thing.
Right, because
Gotcha.
we will be seeing her sometime soon.
Got it. True. Good point. You will. Well, frankly, the likelihood is that you may end up seeing Lady Naaman before Shalosha has a chance to get a message to her.
Right.
Keep in mind, Shalosha is in the middle of a war.
Right.
And she's not only is she fighting against the Sargavans, but she's also evacuating people as best she can from the entire region to get them out of the way in case they fail. Right. So she's pretty busy right now. But
yeah, I'm sure she isn't checking this twice daily. Just
probably not. But you know what? She may be sending messengers to do so.
Right.
So it's possible. All right, you pass there, and pretty soon you begin heading up into the mountains. You kind of skirt the mountains as you sort of come across this area here and that kind of stuff. But eventually, as you get close, as you get about 2 days travel from Bresk, you begin going up into the mountains, and it's that moment where there is a pretty significant cold snap comes in.
Yeah.
There's a fair amount of snow. and makes travel difficult, and it's going to slow you guys down. It's not super uncomfortable. It's more of a nuisance than anything else. The road is pretty plain. The passes are largely open, but there's a lot of snow, and it's cold. You're more than once you end up thanking Simeon for his silently thanking Simeon for his perspicacity from the point of view of providing you with cold weather clothing. Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
As you guys go up there, the commander of the Talon guys is, leading the way in large part, as you guys bring the wagons up, and you see him up ahead stop. His guys stay there, and he turns around and comes back to you guys to say, "Hey, we've got a problem. I've spotted something up ahead that frankly shouldn't be there. Do you guys want to come with me and check it out?"
Is it like an ocean or something? Because I agree.
Well, I'm not sure, but it could be troubling.
Okay.
It's troublesome.
All right.
I'll
Great.
go.
I'll go.
I'll go up,
Okay.
and I'll once I get up to whatever close to or whatever distance to see, I'll go into stealth mode and start scouting forward.
Okay. Second. All right. Yeah, so he sends a couple of his guys sort of out into the area.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "You two guys go check things out." And they ride off. As you approach, there's a couple of trees that you see sort of alongside the road, what it looks like a road. And as you get closer, you see something sort of sticking out of the snow. And at which point the Commander Frel calls to you and says, "That's a little pond over there off the thing. It's small, but it's quite deep."
Mm-hmm.
And as you get closer, you see this.
Ah.
Man.
Uh-oh.
So you can see his guys sort of have dismounted, and they're in the distance kind of looking around, seeing what's what. But you see the tree, and it looks like there are 4 men, humans, as far as you can tell, who have been, well, what he'll tell you is they have been frozen. It looks like they have been at least partially immersed in the edge of the lake. There's also, the tree has some rope hanging from it, and there is more rope sitting on top of the snow.
Actually, probably need to keep the party together. We'll probably all kind of start heading closer. Wraith, do you want to keep arrows pointed in this general direction?
No, sure.
He's like, it already is, dude.
Well, at this point, we're not trying to sneak and scout, so
no.
then I'll just provide air cover or distant range cover.
One of my new abilities is detect undead.
Okay.
As we're getting closer, I'm going to start sweeping that thing wildly in front of me, just looking.
Detect undead?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You do not detect any undead.
Okay. It looks like a really horrifying
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
there people
so
in the back there, Les, or is that just the picture?
that's it. The 2 lieutenants are in the back there, sort of looking around, and the path goes that way. So they're sort of scouting ahead a little bit. So the path sort of is. Let me draw this. The path sort of goes in, and I'm going to do this in black. Hold on, do it nice and dark. So the path sort of goes this direction. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the path goes that way back up into the mountains. These 2 lieutenants are sort of scouting ahead. This is off to the side of the path. So imagine that you guys are sort of like, you would have, if you continued past these guys, you would have continued over here, in sort of that area, kind of down that way as going through there. So you're sort of off to the right of the road. But yeah, these guys, and basically he says, look, there's a small pond, a deep pond here. It looks like these guys have been partially immersed in this pond and then they froze. You look at their faces. This is 4 human males, as far as you can tell.
Mhm.
And it looks, their faces seem to indicate that they were in distress when they died. Not sure
Hmm.
how they died because of the coatings of ice and snow on them.
Right.
Are they looking at the rope less? It kind of looks like they're looking at the rope. Is that?
They could be. It looks like the rope was just thrown there. It's possible they were looking at the rope, but it's possible that that's just sort of how it worked out. I'm gonna move that out of the way so you can see the people.
The
All right.
rope is tied to a tree, a different tree that's.
Well, there's a piece you can see over this tree over here. You can see that there is a piece of rope tied to it, and then it looks like more rope is sort of just thrown over here.
Mystery.
It looks like, I mean, if you go up to the tree and check it out, it looks like the rope, it's relatively short, probably 2 to 3 feet, and it looks like it's been cut. Like the end of it has been sawed off.
I do have Speak with Dead if anybody thinks this is something we should try to find out more about. Does the commander know anything about these people or what they're wearing or if they're related to anything?
You'd have to chop them out. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that they're wearing the badges of one of the, somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need to figure that out. It's good. That's a good point.
Okay.
Figure out who these guys are, and Poe can probably figure out what he's probably got better heel check than us. Just kind of figure out how they died. It's kind of odd they just been standing here and froze to death standing here.
And they're heading the opposite direction. They're heading back from where we came, which I find interesting too. Why?
As a heel checklist, 24.
Heel check. Are you trying to find out how they died?
Yep. And
Okay.
maybe how long ago? If,
Okay.
I
It's hard to tell how long ago because they are completely frozen. So it's difficult to sort of they're in relatively good condition. You find pretty quickly as you have to chop through some ice and things like that. You find that 3 of them look like they have been killed by crossbow bolts to the back. In at least one case, this guy's case, the crossbow bolt is still there. Protruding from the guy's back. That's not the case for this guy, though, who gives every indication of having been hung. He does not have a crossbow bolt wound.
Does it look like they're tied together? Is there a rope?
No, they're not tied together or anything. It looks like they were either standing in the water or standing nearby when they were shot. So these 3 were shot.
But they're standing up though, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
sort of
that's what's
standing
the weird
upright.
thing, why they're standing. I mean, what would make
Yeah.
them stand?
That'd be a flash freeze to like
Maybe-
get shot and then whoa.
Maybe somebody
that's the
put them
only
out of their
thing I can think.
misery. Maybe it was a friendly coup d'etat. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy-
they should have flown.
Standing,
I mean,
or were these like frozen and then stood up?
It's possible. They're still sort of wedged in the ice. You've only sort of given them cursory sort of examinations. If you could extract them from the ice, it might give some more indication of why they seem to be standing up in the water.
And the ropes.
They're just thrown there.
Did you say they were on the tree or they're just thrown there?
There's a piece of rope on the tree about 2.5 feet long that's just hanging there. Now that piece has been cut. If you look here, these ropes, there are a couple of indications where these ropes have been cut as well. Only one, according to Poe, though, only one man gives any sort of indication of having been hung. The other 3 definitely look like they were shot with crossbows to the back. They were shot in the back.
And no indication of the rope going around any of the 3 who were shot.
It doesn't seem to be. What Poe, you rolled a 24? Yeah, Poe, you've checked their necks out. Once you find one that has been hung, you checked out their necks. It doesn't look like these guys were hung. It looks like only one of them was hung.
So
But
three
the interesting
shots.
part is he's not still hung.
Hmm.
So these guys may have been stood up in some fashion after death.
Okay.
I mean, without digging or getting to the bottom of this ice, I mean, it's hard to tell. The ice here is pretty thick, actually.
Do we
Ice
have
and
a clue
snow.
on who these guys are?
You want to try and investigate that?
Sure.
Maybe one of them has a belt pouch.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
Like everyone or just one of us?
Whoever's going to be searching these guys' bodies, for lack of a better term.
I think several of us would be in there doing it.
Who would?
I think several of us would be in there doing it.
All right. Everybody who's going to participate, give me a perception check.
Yes, sir. All right.
It's not bad for Ono.
Here we go.
All right.
Figure out what my perception is. I don't have it on my.
Okay. Arendar, you and Poe, Vondram, you guys are having trouble sort of knocking the ice off these guys, and you're trying to be gentle, but at one point, Ono, you're kind of clocking this guy with your hands, and you accidentally break off his ear, which is frozen completely solid, and sort of just knock it off, and it clinks onto the ground, and you're like, ugh.
Hey, you
But
pick up there.
But Poe, you and Arendar are looking at two different guys, and you eventually so once you get some of the ice knocked off of them, you can see that they are in livery. They are in what look to be colors. They're not wearing armor. From a weapon standpoint, all you find are sort of these long daggers. But you do find that they're all wearing, and eventually, Vondram, you and Ono are able to get your guys up, and you find they're wearing these devices. One of them has it's a clip on their frozen sort of cloak. Another one has a medallion. Another one, it's on their knife, where it has this big sort of thing on the cross piece. They all have the same sigil, which is a leopard and a serpent, sort of it looks like maybe fighting each other under a sunburst of some sort. Does anybody have knowledge local or knowledge nobility?
I
That
have
sounds like
knowledge
a Titus thing.
I have knowledge local.
No?
I have knowledge.
I do. I'm rolling.
Device, planes, arcana, religion.
Okay, not necessarily the closest. All right, so
Let's
you
see.
said you had knowledge local.
Ah,
Yeah.
another 17.
Vondra, what skill is that?
Knowledge local.
Knowledge local. All right.
What was the
Should I
other one?
try-
Nobility?
Knowledge history.
Knowledge history might work if you have that.
I'm trying knowledge history.
Okay.
Oh boy, yeah. I know what happened. They're obviously traveling
I know what happened.
salesmen. They got lost. They froze.
It takes you guys a minute, and Wraith, you and Vondram end up talking about it. And then Arendar steps up and is like, I've seen that symbol before. It's the symbol of Lady Dane.
Whoa. Wow. Okay.
So I don't know if you remember who Lady Dane is.
Yeah, she's
I do.
big-breasted chick.
Yep. Dwarvish girl.
All right.
Okay. She's the one that wants power and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
everyone.
She's the
So-
one that wants money.
She
Money.
wants money and power.
Prestige.
And these are her people who were
It looks like all
Were
four of them
shot
have on their bodies at least something that indicates that is her symbol.
Do the other guys that are with us, the guards that are with us, do they know anything about any of this or who this could be or what?
No idea. This I mean, try a sense motive.
Sense motive. It's not my strong suit.
Well, maybe somebody who does it well.
Maybe someone else who knows something. Try that.
Hang
All right.
on.
Oh no, give me a perception check when you have a moment.
Yes, sir.
Oh my
Sense
gosh. Okay,
That's
this is
pretty
one of my
good.
odd nights.
Wow, that's pretty good. You think the commander seems to be a little embarrassed. Well, not embarrassed per se, but like maybe he suspects something that he's not saying. You don't get a vibe from him that he was at all involved in this, but
He looks
he looks chagrined.
uncomfortable. Or okay.
Yeah,
Who's going
uncomfortable
against-
is a good word for it.
Who's,
All right, perception. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Who is going against Lady Dane?
No one, as far as you know.
Should be
yeah.
no one.
Sargov, she expects to profit from traffic passing through her lands to and from Sequin, but
Yep.
is nervous because she has only a weak army. And I guess her
And
army
it's,
is now
and it's 4 people weaker now.
Yes, right, yeah.
mode.
4 down.
Well, they're not wearing armor, so they might not be army.
They're dressed in livery. Messengers, maybe. I mean, you don't see any. I mean, there's no merchant goods or anything around, so it's possible. I mean, Lady Dane is very commercially focused, so maybe these guys are some of her traders or merchants or something like that. They are heading away from Bresk, which I don't know, maybe may mean something, maybe nothing.
Has there been too much snow around here to try and find out which direction they were headed? If there was any tracks of anyone or any evidence of who was here with them?
Well, Ono has kind of been wandering around in the region, kind of looking at things, and he did come up with some tracks. It looks like and they're largely what's the word I'm looking for? They're not sharp, dull tracks, I guess. Like when tracks have been out for a while and it rains and they sort of get filled in a little bit, they're harder to read precisely. But there
Right.
are several sets of tracks around here in the snow.
Leading where? Leading where?
It looks like well, that would require probably a survival check. That might be beyond your capabilities. I don't know. You may have survival.
East, west, north, south.
The bulk of the tracks seem to be coming away from Bresk down the road.
Away from Bresk.
Yep.
So if somebody walked down, okay, from Bresk.
Yeah. Like they were leaving, like they were coming from Bresk and heading somewhere else.
Jane is the most likely to have gotten on the wrong side of the king for money or power, with all the opportunities that abound right now to make money and gain power by helping bad guys.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Certainly, Commander Frelk is not anxious to speak of what he suspects. That's your impression, Arendar.
So after we're done here and I catch him off by himself somewhere, just riding up, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kind of approach and just say, hey, between you and I, what was going on back there?
Give me a diplomacy, persuasion check, whatever role you think is okay. Oh no, to your question, eventually you guys sort of dig these guys out, I guess. And you find a couple of things. They don't have any other anything that would indicate wealth on them, although weirdly they still have weapons. They all have these sort of long knives. But these are mostly from a soldier standpoint, these are largely decorative, right? They're court knives. Court poignards, right? So I mean you could fight with them, but you probably would want something a little more serious if you were getting a serious fight.
I was like, I don't need them.
Well, they also have as you go through them, you don't find any pouches or anything like that. There's no money or anything like that. No backpacks. No indication of
No
anything
ID,
like that.
no wallets with ID in them.
No wallets with ID that says I was killed by these guys. But for all of them, their hands and feet have been tied.
So the
Yeah.
guy shot and then they bound their hands and feet?
Maybe
Either
they
bound their
bound
hands and
them,
feet-
shot them, and left them bound. Maybe.
Well, I mean, since
Wow.
our 4 guys picking up from the ice, they were meant to be found. I suspect some sort of trap or some sort of trick. Are these guys really from Lady Dane?
They're, I mean,
wearing stuff.
the devices on their clothing seems to indicate it is.
Okay. It's just weird how 4 obvious dead guys picking up through the ice. It's maybe I'm reading too much, but maybe I've read too many novels, but maybe
This is a warning, you think?
a warning or a trick. I don't know.
Did we find, we know these guys have been shot. Did they still have the bolts in them or had they been removed?
The bolts have been removed, but they look very much like bolt shots.
So someone's trying to
Well, you said
that
one of them.
kill.
You said one of them still had the crossbow bolt in it, right?
Did I?
Yeah.
You
I
did.
don't know.
Okay.
I'm asking.
The
The
guy
rear
near
guy.
the
You said the back
Wait.
guy did.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. This guy still has the crossbow bolt in him. The others have been removed.
how straight. Okay. All right.
But the wounds are similar.
So
Oh,
maybe you can remove the crossbow bolt that's still there and see if there's anything that tells you.
It takes a minute if you're going to remove that crossbow bolt. It takes a minute to remove. From your eyes, it seems to be well made. Wraith, you are an archer of note and are familiar with bows and arrows, and this is a well made crossbow bolt, probably one of several made as a batch. So so from your point of view, longbow archers, which you are,
Yeah.
tend to be a bit. The word I was going to use is prissy, but tend to be a bit fastidious about arrows, right?
Right.
And oftentimes when you get arrows, they're custom made to your specs, right? When you go buy 20 arrows, you're having you're having a Fletcher make you arrows, the kind you like. Crossbow bolts are a sort of different animal, but custom crossbow bolts are not unheard of. These look like sort of, for lack of a better term, mass produced, like batches of them, like for an army or an organization maybe would do something like that. Off the rack, yeah, exactly.
First one.
So is there any way to tell anything about them?
They don't have any specific markings on them, other than they look to be. I mean, you can give me actually. Do you have knowledge, anything related to arrows or archery or anything like that? Give me a
No,
perception check.
There's no knowledge for that kind of stuff as far as I know.
You can write it in. You can write in your own knowledge. 30 perception. Your guess is that these are dwarven make. They have the arrowheads, the way the fletchings are done. These bolts were probably made by a dwarf.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh, sorry.
Something happened to football?
Yeah, we're on overtime.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
it's
Holy
just-
cow.
It's 19-22, and I haven't seen a game this good in years. I mean, I don't watch many anymore. But damn, sorry.
That's all right.
Is this like, so you said they're not very good, but they're from dwarven make?
Well, I mean, they're workmanlike crossbow bows, right? They're not terrible quality. They're fine quality,
So, like,
and they will
potentially
shoot,
like
they will kill. But these
Yeah.
look like they were mass produced by dwarves.
What if our wealthy
I mean-
dwarven king is involved? Our wealthy dwarven lord.
Well, Lady Dane is a dwarf, but also she has one of the weakest armies. And these guys don't strike you as being soldiers. Whoever shot these guys, to your eyes, they probably did not shoot them with their own weapons.
Right.
There's
All right.
there's another lord who's a dwarf who's like the richest dwarf other than the king, right?
Dashkoban, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, nope, not Dashkoban. Magadon. Magadon is the wealthiest, probably wealthier than the king himself.
But as far as the most martial, and these are mass-produced martial weapons for a big army, that would be
Is yeah.
Yeah, and is known to be fiercely loyal to King Steppengard.
Yeah. I was yeah.
That Lady Dane
Oh,
stepped
yes,
out on Steppengard for the money somehow.
Well, okay, let's confront is joking. Sorry. All right.
All right. Is there anything else you want to do to these guys before you sort of move on?
Ono will meditate and say a little prayer to Ishtar.
Got it. On behalf of the dead, the frozen dead.
So we agree that they're from what's her name, the dwarf, and
right?
that
They bear her mark, yeah.
right, and that someone tried to hide the fact that they were killed by. There's no way naturally they ended up standing here dead.
No.
So someone tried to.
Someone stood them up. And potentially, so the even gets even weirder because they're frozen in place and they're frozen standing with their hands and their feet bound. So theoretically, we're talking about a timeline that goes like this. These four guys were coming away from Bresk down the road. They ran into their interlopers, at least one of whom was armed with a crossbow with dwarven bolts. Okay, Chiefs won, no kidding.
Yep.
There you go. My mother-in-law is probably very happy right now. So they ran into somebody, some person or persons, and you're probably guessing persons because it is definitely a more than one person job to hang a man, a full-grown man. So probably more than one person, armed with a crossbow with dwarven bolts. Something happened which caused these unknown persons to hang one guy and shoot the other three in the back. All of them have wounds in the back. Shoot them in the back with crossbow bolts. Now, you don't know for sure whether they were bound before they were shot or after they shot, but they are bound now. Now, after this, somehow, those people who shot them and hung them then stood them up, either dead or partially alive, and got them to stay in that position long enough to freeze,
yeah,
and then have snow kind of pile up next to them.
That's just weird.
It is weird.
That's a lot of effort. And then why is the rope laying on the snow? It's like maybe they used the rope to hold them in place.
Well, that's another thing. They took the time to hang at least one of these guys and then cut them down so that they could stand them up with his friends and then cut down the rope and left the rope there.
There's like the rope has two cut ends. Is it one? And there's actually maybe a third cut end. Is it one long rope or is it multiple ropes?
It's multiple rope pieces, and none of them seem to be tied in a noose of any kind.
So maybe they were from above, like people that fly or on flying creatures. The guy was hung from above, right where he stood, or they used him to hold him up.
Then who cut him down? Somebody cut him down.
After they were frozen in place, then the ropes were severed and dropped, I guess.
So you think they were? Is there a branch above where they were frozen?
No, it's about 10, 15 feet away. The tree
Could it be magic ropes, like entangle, like using ropes so magicians?
They don't radiate magic.
Yeah, but
there are spells that allow you to manipulate ropes in this fashion. It's possible, sure.
It feels like we're facing some psychotic killer.
So people from Iz would not want this. I mean, Iz is obviously against the Sargavans, and
I don't know that you can make the case that is against the Sargavans. They are so Iz represents
loyal to the king.
He's fiercely loyal to the king, and he's quite basically the lands that Iz controls are largely the the regions from which King Stepengard's armies are drawn. So think Sparta rather than Athens, right? So Lord Is himself is a young man, vigorous, martial. The people of his land are martial. So Stepengard's the bulk of Stepengard's personal forces are subjects of Lord Is. Lord Is probably would be reckoned probably Stepengard's greatest general or military advisor. So Is's armies are Stepengard's armies and vice versa. But he is well known to be fiercely loyal to the king.
Right.
But they've stood in opposition of Sargavin, the Sargavin army, haven't they? Haven't they made it difficult? Like they haven't caved in to any need or want that the Sargavins have put forth?
They haven't caved in yet. No, they haven't allowed them in the Elite Pass. Historically, King Stepengard's relationship with the Sargavins was one of sort of mutual disdain, with
Working
occasional
relationship.
commercial transactions, right? I mean, if you look at the map, the reality is that the
Pretty far
Bandu
away.
is fairly far away. So if you look at, this is a wrong map. Hold on a second. Let's look at this map here. Here we go. So Stepengard is way over here. If you look at a big map, let me get a regional map here. All right, here's a bigger. Well, no, that's not good either.
The last one was on the last one.
Well, here's okay. So here's the Bandu dwarves, right? So let's look at this. So right about here is the Elite Pass. Okay, so Bresk is about here. And the capital of Sargava, Elidar, is here. So they're pretty far away from each other, right? So occasionally they would have had dealings, certainly trade dealings. But Stepengard is not known to have a ton of love for Sargava. Frankly, he, like I said, is like a mild disdain.
Could it be just that Is caught Lady Dane dipping into a punch bowl for money that he didn't want her dipping into, that was maybe putting him at risk somehow?
It's possible.
And just gave her a message, like shut her down, like this isn't how we're doing things here.
It's possible.
I mean, who controls this area that we're walking through right now where these guys are frozen?
It's a road. Technically, this is probably, I'd have to look. Hold on a second. So this area that you guys are at is probably like right here. So maybe Magadan. I would say probably where the area you're in right now is nominally under the control of Baron Magadan.
And what's his deal again?
He's the richest one. Yeah, he's the rich one.
Wasn't he a dwarf too?
Yeah, he's a dwarf.
So dwarven bolts could have come from his group.
Easily. Yeah. Oh, easily.
So maybe he just doesn't like Lady Dane either. For whatever reason.
Lady Dane is trying to use money, the acquisition of money, to leverage herself into a greater position amongst the council and amongst the dwarves. So it's possible that Magadan sees this as a threat to sort of his financial domination of the region. But Balin would tell you that by personality, Magadan is, despite being the wealthiest dwarf in probably the entirety of the Bandu Hills, Magadan is actually a very cordial, very happy-go-lucky, very what's the word I'm looking for? Very collegial. The phrase used with Baron Magadan is he's never met a stranger, right?
So maybe some of his more noble magicians feel differently than he does.
Certainly possible, and he has quite a bit of them. He has a lot of advisors who, some of whom may not necessarily. You know what? I mean, the reality is wealth attracts a certain kind of person sometimes. And so it's almost assured that within Magadan's court will be people who are there solely for the fact that they are in the court of the wealthiest dwarf in the Bandu Hills.
Sure.
And they may be giving him bad advice. Certainly they have their own intrigues going on. But as far as the Baron has always been very much considered to be a very pleasant personality. He doesn't, even though he's quite wealthy, He's also very good about sharing his wealth, right?
How did he get so wealthy? What made him wealthy?
Well, he got wealthy. One, he's one of the longer term barons here. But hold on, let me do this. His wealth extends, obviously it's from trade, right? So on one hand, so it has to do a little bit with the position of his domain, right? So on one hand, he is next to the very rich lands and hills of that sort of northern area, right? So there's a lot of trading that goes on. He does a lot of trade individually with Sequin. These hills are dotted with those hobbit villages that that are either agricultural, manufacturing hubs. He has good relationships with the elves, so elvish craftsmen. He deals with those, but also you can see at the very bottom, and this blue line represents a pass, a road. That road, he on both sides of his domain, he has good roads. And this road on the south leads to the southern area, which means that not only is he trading with the elves and the hobbits and Sequin on the north, but he's also trading with the Mwangi on the south. So he's in a really great position to take advantage of trade from both directions and broker trade in both directions. And he's been doing exactly that for well over 50 years.
Well, then it could just be as simple as Lady Dane would like his area.
Possible.
I mean, if she's all about money and power, then he's sitting on.
It could be that she's jealous of the position of his domain and wishes to assume it, but that often, historically, that really doesn't happen with these guys, because ultimately it all ladders up to King Steppengard, right? So if Lady Dane made an army and attacked Baron Magadon and took his lands, the king would step in and say, "You can't do that. This is my baron. You can't just attack these guys."
Yeah, but we get the Sir Gavin. The whole Sir Gavin throws a whole new light on that.
Throws a whole new, you've got a wild card.
And I'm sure they're promising anybody that'll help them lots of power and money.
Could easily be.
And I'm just curious, because I think we've done it before. Do any of our clerics have the ability to speak with dead?
Yeah, Poe does.
I was wondering that.
Go Poe. Go Poe.
Yeah, I suggested I could talk to them if anybody thought
I
it
thought
was
you
relevant,
did that.
but-
That's how I thought we got some information.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
No.
do that.
I would think you should speak to the hanged one, because in theory, he's guaranteed to have seen who accosted him. The
Right.
others were all shot in the back. They might not know,
Right.
but the one who was hanged should certainly understand who it was that shoved him in a tree with a or
With a rope
however
around his neck, yeah.
or however he was hanged, if it was from a flying creature or whatever some of the other options were.
If we're gonna do that though, because we've got the weirdness coming from the captain, I'd do this without the other guards around.
Well, you've become buddy with the captain. Why
Right.
don't you go and talk to him?
I was
And
going to.
try to
So I'm gonna pull
convince
him
him.
aside when before we leave here, but while we're like scouting around, you did tell me to do a diplomacy to see if I could. So basically, I'm not gonna push this, but I am gonna see if I can get him briefly to open up and just say, "Hey, between you and I, obviously there's something going on there. What's going on?" Dang, dude, I'm on fire tonight.
Hey.
Jeez
Yeah.
Louise. All right, so you approach him. What do you say to him?
But basically, hey, you know what? You and I have been through some stuff, and I can tell you were uncomfortable there. Between you and I, what's going on here?
He looks a bit chagrined, and he's
And like I
"Look,
said, I pulled him aside, so it's not like I'm doing this in front of people.
right, yeah." He's sort of
It's
going off
just
the
me
thing.
and him.
So you guys walk a little ways away. He's like, "Look, I don't want to talk about it this close." And he calls. In fact, before he does, he calls over his guys and say, "Hey, I want you to look over there and see if you can find any information and anything interesting over there. Look for tracks over there, that kind of thing." And they kind of look at him like, "Really?" But they do it. They follow orders. Basically, he walks probably 40 or 50 yards away, and he says, "Look, I'm not the only commander of a Talon organization that's out here." He goes, "I've seen those bolts before. I can't help but think that maybe these guys were victims of a a more aggressive group of Talons than ours.
Gotcha.
I don't know what they did, but I can tell you
You
that there are several groups operating out in the south here. Yeah.
Okay. If you're pretty confident those are.
I don't know for sure. You know, the Talons were set up to make sure that every working group was independent of the others, and we get our orders from our individual unit commanders back in Bresk.
Okay.
So I don't know who these guys are, and I don't know that
Right.
I don't know that Talons did this,
You just
but
think maybe.
but it's possible. I know that there are multiple groups of Talons operating in this area
And you guys are pretty much under pressure to
to deliver. Right, exactly.
whoever's
And frankly,
at all cost, and
you saw my guys back with the hobbits. They were ready to act.
right.
Everybody is under pressure. Everybody wants to serve the king. It's
Okay.
possible this happened.
Okay. I'm like I said, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but I'm gonna
Okay.
thank him for trusting me with that. And
He's like, if it does turn out, he says, he's not dumb. He says, look, if your friend is going to speak with these guys, and it turns out that it is a talent thing, I don't want you to think that we're all the same. We're not.
nope, I understood.
Okay, good.
I just wonder if they put the guys with the crossbolts were silenced or put out of their misery.
I'm gonna ask him why would if it was Talons, why would they have stood him back up? Would this have been like a mistake, or are they just? I'm just trying to get in their head, and I'm
He's
hoping.
like, honestly, I don't know. I wasn't there, and I don't know what happened.
Right.
But I can tell you that when the Talons were recruited a couple of weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
aggressiveness was a factor in the choice. I have a reputation as being a good investigator, so I was selected. But some of my men were chosen because they're highly aggressive.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
You saw what was going to happen back at the wagon, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, it could be that this particular group wasn't interested in bringing any captives back to answer questions from the Justicars.
Okay. No, I appreciate you loving with me.
I owe you that.
Okay. All right. I'll come back and then share that with the group as long as the other guards are not, the other Talon people aren't around.
Do Talon groups sometimes include magicians? Is that normal? That happen?
Are you asking the commander, or?
I'm talking out loud as he shares that with us. As Mike shares that with us. So
it depends. I mean, that's not a question you ask the commander. I mean, you could ask him that.
I guess I do then.
Okay. He basically says, yeah, in some cases, there will be casters. Typically, they are schooled in interrogation, primarily. But yeah, it would not be out of the realm of possibility for there to be a caster to associate with a Talon group.
So if there were casters, that could be how this froze up around them. Maybe some magic was either used to either melt ice or to very rapidly freeze water.
And then the ropes were ensorcelled in some way.
Or yeah, that could have, yeah.
If they were from an arcane standpoint, actually, Andrew, are you there? Give me a knowledge arcana.
Okay.
They could have just been frozen together or tied together until they froze and then the rope was undone. I mean, that would be the simplest. Given what's
So
here, that's the
you gotta-
simplest.
Well, he said that there's no nooses. Like there's nothing kind of like a noose.
15. Theoretically, from your point of view as a wizard, if a body was frozen even after death, it would become rigid and could be stood up, and would remain rigid if that body continued to be frozen. It could be that that's what happened to these guys. They were frozen, stood, potentially as a warning to others, and then the snow that just recently hit these mountains
Just kind of half covered them or whatever.
yeah, covered them a little bit.
Yeah, but the rope is on top. That's weird. I mean,
On top of the snow, it is.
yeah, but that's not, that doesn't, if the rope wasn't laying on top, and it's so specific in the picture, like, that's a clue as to what went down. I rolled a 25. Does that provide any more information?
What kind of what kind of
Arcana?
question are you asking? Yeah, I mean, so from your point of view, you agree with Titus in that there's several ways that dead bodies could be made to stand in place. Freezing is one, maybe some sort of paralyzation or something like that. They are also standing in water. They're in the edge of this pond that the commander talked about. Now the pond itself is frozen, so it's possible that the pond was frozen when this occurred, and whoever did this to them took the dead bodies and stood them up in the water so that they were propped up somehow. That would have made them sort of standing. It's possible that, but there's a couple of ways that this effect could be generated by magic. Yeah. As far as the rope, you also recognize that the ropes could have been ensorcelled, both pre and post hanging. These ropes do not radiate magic, but maybe they were removed later and thrown here. There's also no noose in these ropes.
Yeah, like removed from what? Removed from where?
From the tree?
From the tree.
It was definitely cut from the tree. And in your investigation, if you look at both ropes.
Multiple ropes. There's multiple ropes.
Multiple pieces, yeah.
Oh, so maybe it was cut. It was in pieces. It was one rope and then was cut up into a whole bunch of pieces.
That's what, yeah, I think you probably think that is probably the most likely scenario. The rope looks the same. And you can sort of like measure, kind of connect piece it together. And it does look like it was cut. Not torn away, but cut.
Why would the rope be cut in multiple pieces? Only one guy was hanged.
I don't know. I mean, I know, but I can't tell you.
No, you can tell us.
Maybe I don't.
That would make this a lot easier, actually, if you just tell
Yeah, let's bring one of them back. Let's use our cleric. That's awesome. Speak the dead. Let's take the guy that had the worst death and make him live through it again. That sounds like something we do.
All right, so the commander has heard you talking about that you're going to speak with the dead. So he draws his guys over. He goes, and he says very loudly and very distinctly, "All right, gentlemen, we're going to scout ahead to see if there's any more issues like this. You guys pack up, make sure everything's coming up, and we'll loop back around and we'll catch up with you in a minute. We just want to make sure that there's nothing up ahead that's waiting for us. Come on, guys, let's go." And they take off in their horses, sort of down the path.
Okay.
You get the impression that the last thing that the commander wanted, he knows that Poe is capable of speak with dead. And so the last thing he wants to do is have his guys around here when these guys talk, especially if it is Talon related.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So you're going to cast Speak with Dead?
Sure.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Well, let's do a little soul searching for questions before we do the standard.
Well, I guess the first person is, do you know?
One question per 2 caster levels. So how many questions are we talking about? What's your level?
7.
That's one question.
So 4, are we talking 4? 4, 1, 3, 5, 7? Yeah. So 4 questions.
So
Do they know who did it to them?
What was what mission were they on? Like, what were they doing? Where were they going?
What is your quest?
what's your favorite color?
No, that's
ask
not
them,
it.
do they know why they were killed?
Well, you guys think about that. I'll be right.
Yeah, you know who killed them,
Why they
think-
were killed?
because I think the question, do you know who killed you, is a wasted question, because if they say yes, that doesn't help us. Doesn't help us no matter what. If we just say who killed you, we'll either get a name or we'll get I don't know,
Yeah.
which will answer the question, do you know who killed you, without having to ask that separate.
Right.
I think why were you killed is a much better.
Yeah, why were you
Yes.
killed? Do you know why you were killed? That's
Maybe start there, because that might give us clues as to what the next question could be. Why were you
that's a good idea.
And I would stick to questions like, why were you killed? not do you know?
Yes
Right.
or no, yeah.
Right.
No,
I
no
think-
yes or no questions.
Yeah, I
Right.
think, I mean, going in the vein of what we're trying to do here, we should ask them if they had anything to do with the deaths of the kings.
That's a good
Family.
idea too.
The royal family.
But
Just as
let's start with the why were you killed, because that might answer that question. You know,
as an
Yep.
aside, have you guys all seen the D&D movie?
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember their speak with dead routine?
Oh yeah.
It took like 40 times because he kept asking stupid questions.
Yeah, that was hysterical. That was one of the funnier parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We joke about it all the time. Is this working? Yes. Was that a question? Yes.
Really?
Really? Yes.
Really? Yes. Really?
I need
Yes.
to watch that again.
It's on Amazon Prime. We watched it. I think you guys were with us when you came. We went to what's that place? The skee ball place that has a thing. Where did we go?
Edge.
Edge. Yeah, that it was great. It's a shame that Wizards of the Coast is now crashing and burning because
Right.
that means there won't be a second one. But we'll see. All right, do you guys have your questions or no?
I think are we agreed that we're going to start with the question, why were you killed?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because that one, I think we can branch from there to get, okay. So that's the first question, is ask him, why were you killed?
Or who are we asking? The
The guy who
bank
got,
man?
the guy who got
Yeah,
hanged.
that was hanged.
Okay. All right. So Poe, you cast the spell?
Yes.
Who wakes me from my slumber? Pharasma calls to my soul.
I'm Poe. That's one.
Not a
Wait.
question, you're still good.
Supposed to answer them, not ask them. I'm sorry. Forgot. Ask your questions and I will answer.
Why were you killed?
Oh,
We were suspected of being involved in the murder of the king's family. It was a lie.
oh,
Well, that just answered my other
That
question.
answered several questions.
yeah.
Mhm.
So we need to know who did it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
actually, you know what? With that question answered, I'm pretty sure it's got to be the Talons.
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to ask that just to make sure? But I mean,
I
to me,
mean, if we, at least if we know who did this, we might be able to follow up with the king and
Right.
or with somebody to be able to say these people did this if it's ever needed.
Do we want to know why they were suspected of this? Is that something we can work in some way? Is that valuable? Like, what is it that the Talons came after them for? Just because they were 4 dudes walking around with Dane's insignia on them? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Why did they suspect that you had been involved in the deaths of the king's family?
There's paranoia runs rampant in Bresk, and the king seeks those who destroyed his family with anger and resentment. We simply were ordered by our liege lady to leave the city and go to Baron Dashgaban's on our way to our lady's manor. But our departure from the city was seen as abrupt, and we were followed by the king's talons. They questioned us each, and when finally it was to me, they decided to see if I would talk if they slew my friends. One by one, they shot them in the back, but I had no information to give them, for we were not involved. Finally, once it became clear that I would not give them what they sought, they hung me from yonder tree.
okay, so we know who did it. We know why they did it.
Well, we kind of know who they did. What was the name of the leader of the Talons who did this to you, or do you have identifying characteristics?
They were men and dwarves of the Talons, and their leader was a dwarf named Casmuk. I knew him as a constable of the city, for I have spent much time in Bresk at my lady's disposal. I never thought that he would become my murderer. Casmuk was his name.
Are we writing this down? Is someone writing this down?
Yeah. Casmook, like CASMOOK.
Like a KKAZMUK.
Never
I
had
see
it.
now that the hand comes up. He's like, no. Switch these two letters.
That was your fourth question, the spelling. I'll waive the spelling question, for it was not a part of your plan.
Should we ask him if they have any knowledge about who did kill the king? Does he have to answer truthfully? Kill the king's family?
Well, I mean, he's sort of beyond the realm of being punished for this. So yeah, I suppose he might.
Just, and I don't know if that's the right question. I'm just throwing that out there.
We've only got one more left, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Two more.
Two
Two more. You've asked him who killed you,
No.
and then why.
Why
Yeah.
you were killed? And yeah, who killed you?
So you still have two more, unless you want to count the spelling question. Which
No.
Who's the fairest of them all?
Oh no, that Lady Dane is the fairest of them all. The
Well,
most beautiful female dwarf without a beard that has ever existed.
and he's already said that they didn't know
Yeah,
anything.
they don't know anything.
That
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
have any information towards the plot. That's basically why he was killed.
I mean, they
'Cause-
were probably leaving so that they could tell somebody what happened.
Yeah.
Well,
It was so shocking.
Well, he said that they had been sent. They were in Bresk, and Lady Dane had said, go to Baron Dashkaban and then come home, basically. So keep in mind that Baron Dashkaban and Lady Dane's domains are next to each other. So here, let's go there. I think this is the right map. Yeah. So if we look here, here's Baron Magadon's, or I'm sorry, he was going to Baron Magadon's land. And they had orders to go to Lady Dane's. So probably, I mean, you found him on this road here.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know why Lady Dane would send them to Magadon first, but basically he told you that they were sent to go to Baron Magadon's castle, and then from there they were going to go across over to Lady Dane's castle here.
Okay.
How about if we ask them why they were sent to Baron Magadon, try to figure out more about what they were doing? I don't think they're going to know anything about the assassination.
So yes, we know not why Our Lady has sent us to Magadon first, other than Magadon and my lady have been friends for many years, and we have been to the Baron's castle on many occasions, both on business, and our people are welcome there as a matter of course. It may be that the pass to Lady Dane's castle has been blocked by the recent snows. It may be that Lady Dane wished to meet us at Magadon's castle. We know not. We follow Our Lady's orders without question.
And with that, he asked, do you have any more questions? And he says, psych, you're done. And then falls over.
Like, that is the end of the questioning.
How long ago were they killed if nobody else has anything?
How long ago?
Yeah.
He might not know.
Hmm.
So once he's dead, I mean, so if you look at the Speak with Dead things, is like they can only answer what they knew in life.
Oh, yeah.
So he may not know how long he's been dead.
Gotcha.
So make it, what day was it when you were killed?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it will, if you do the math, it was 3 days ago.
Okay.
Hmm.
So whoever did this was long gone.
Well, we know who did it.
It was before the big snow.
Right.
So you guys would have been sort of still traversing the hills when this occurred. So yeah, you were a couple of days late, 2-3 days late.
Okay. All right.
Thus I must return to the blackness from which you have drawn me. Remember, those of you who still live, that in death we are all equal.
Blah. Well, okay.
So,
That was dark.
so does anyone have any problems with me sharing this one-on-one with the captain, or should we keep this to ourselves?
Is there a
I
benefit
mean-
to sharing it?
Well, I think we can assume that he's an ally, and the best way to make that the case is to trust him. So yeah, I think we should trust him.
I mean, that's kind of what I've been going so far, is trying to build this relationship with him, because like I said, one, I want him to paint us in the best possible way, but the other, once we get there, since these guys are pretty much like the SS, I mean, they pretty much have rights to do whatever as long as it's in the name of figuring out who did this. So it'd be nice to have someone who's the leader of one of these things to,
And kind of a good guy too. Like he's not an
Yeah.
ass.
yeah. So it'd be nice to have one of these guys. So, you know, when we do our full frontal assault in someone's house and like murder a whole family of evil people,
Do we do
like,
that?
you know, have him say, oh,
Every other weekend.
That's just what they do. Don't worry about it.
yes, but no, he can come in and say, yeah, you know. we
Murdered a
did
whole
that
family?
because-
Classic classic Gate Pass guys.
Yes. Like I said, it'd be nice to have him there to kind of cover for us, and especially since we're kind of doing the same thing he's doing. It's just, we're just gonna be a whole lot better at it than he is. Just because
Well-
we're us.
And it seems to me he knew that this was the case.
Right,
Suspected, certainly, yeah.
right. So,
All you're doing at this point is really just naming the culprit and confirming his suspicions.
and building trust, I'm hoping.
Okay.
He can help us change Ono into the true neutral that every monk should be.
And that your activities require.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's great. We need to force an alignment change, and that's fantastic.
Here, oh no, here's this hat we found. Go ahead and put this on.
Put this hat on.
I'm
It's fine.
Think nothing of it.
All right. Anything else you want to do at this place?
No,
Or
it's creepy enough. I think we're done.
Okay, you're gonna move on. Okay. All right. So you guys
I will pull him aside again, Captain, like as we get traveling back going, and just
All right.
it's just the two of us off to the side, and basically say you were correct and this is who did it. And
he seems
It was-
disappointed. He's like, I'll be blunt. I'd hoped that you would find something different. But my worst suspicions are apparently confirmed. Please don't tell my
nope,
my soldiers.
that's why I pulled you aside.
I've been doing my best to ensure that they do their jobs properly, because frankly, random torture and murder is no way to conduct an investigation. But we're
So this is Arendar's turn to look uncomfortable. Yeah, I agree.
you're right. I totally agree. 100%.
We never do that like at all. So
So is this a point that Wraith should be silent?
Wraith is like trying to keep him laughing in the background. Did you say that with a straight face, dude?
Your lion game is getting good.
He's like that monkey meme where the monkey is kind of like looking at like
Oh, that's funny.
All right, so you guys continue to travel, and you travel the rest of the day without incident, and no more of these kind of things. The weather is pretty
Good.
tough, so and windy, so it's hard to get a fire going, and when you do, you care for it diligently, and you end up the Frelk asks you guys, would you guys be willing to sort of like help keep the fire going so my guys can get some rest and that kind of thing? I'm assuming that you would be willing to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, we're trying to build rapport, and
The next day, the snow has stopped, but it's still quite cold, and you're about a day out of Bresk when you hear sounds coming from in front of you. And at first you're just like, what is that noise? Is it birds? That can't be right. We're in the freaking high mountains. But then you're like, no, that's people. And you can hear what sounds to be multiple people yelling, screaming. Well, not screaming, but yelling, hurry, hurry, get out of the way. Come on. Oh no, it's happening. There it is, that kind of thing. And it seems to be coming towards you.
Maybe we should hide.
I don't know. Do you want to hide?
I'll hide.
I think hiding might be smart.
Arendar wouldn't hide.
I'll move into the bushes and stealth.
Okay. Can you see can you see the map?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Which
Where do we
one's
see
me?
the noise? We hear it from up here, straight ahead of us.
Yeah, kind of up here off to the right a little bit.
And it seems like it's heading our direction.
Definitely heading your direction. In fact, it's not very much longer after you enter this map that you begin to see what looks to be a crowd of people moving quickly towards you. And these are the people that are yelling. They're like, hurry, hurry, we've got to get away, hurry back. Everybody give me and they're running this way, sort of through the snow. Kind of, some of them fall down. They're like, hurry, we've got to get away, we've got to get away.
You need initiative or you need a perception? What do you need?
Perception check.
From everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
That's a lot to ask.
Yes, I had my first natural one tonight.
Natural 1. Somebody falls into, oh wow, a 7. That's the Ono we've grown accustomed to.
I see all.
I see all, as long as it's white and right in front of me.
All right, so regardless of roll, all of you can see this group of people. You're not sure that they see you. They seem to be running or trying to run in the thick snow headlong to the south. They're running, they're like, hurry, hurry, and you can hear them yelling. And there's women, there's children. The women are, and all of them are sort of wrapped up in sort of cold weather clothing. They seem to be okay in that regard, but they're trying to get away from something. Vondrum, you and Poe detect something else. More due north from you guys, you hear I don't even know how to describe it. It's sort of a galumphing sound, but it's big. Sort of like grump. And part of it is sort of going through something's moving through the snow, but it's also making sort of like noises, that kind of thing. It's very strange. You can't see anything yet, but something big is behind these people. And it's also moving your way.
All right.
Sweet.
I've got women and children.
They're
You
easy
just-
shots.
You just don't have to lead them as much.
Chuck, is that your
Hey,
favorite movie?
Well, that's a brilliant movie, but that's my favorite
good.
line.
The
Yeah.
duality of man, sir.
That's right. Exactly.
My favorite
All right.
line.
At this point, these people they're running south and they see you guys. And then they immediately shift directions and begin running toward you. And they're like, you got to get out of here. You got to get out of here. It's coming. It's coming.
what's coming?
Creature, giant snow creature. It's coming after us. At that point, Bondrum, you and Poe again hear this kind of like glump, glump. And in the distance, you see a fast moving creature moving through the snow. And it looks like this.
It's huge.
Holy crap.
What in the hell is it? It's very big.
So it looks like a giant centipede, except for it has ridges or some sort of plates, like almost like stegosaurus plates on its back that look like they are glowing red hot. And it is coming towards the thing. It's obviously looking to cut across. It's coming in this direction. Hold on a second. It is coming in this direction, heading straight for the people. It definitely is looking at those people potentially. One assumes for food.
How big is it?
It's big. Gargantuan. Definitely huge. It's enormous. Probably 20. Well, lengthwise is probably 25, 30 feet long. And then wide as well. So 5 to 8 feet wide. Its individual eyeballs are probably 3 feet across.
Eek.
Yeah. Well, that should be easy to hit. Shoot for the eye. 3
Run.
feet.
All right, let's roll for initiative.
Run. No, run.
Wait, hold on. Don't roll for initiative yet. I got to delete all the other ones. Hold on a second. Run.
Just run.
Let's get the hell out of here. You poor saps are on your own. All right. Roll for initiative, please.
Okay. Let me see. Initiative. It is. And
Where am I?
God. My rolls.
Yeah, I've had 2 ones in a row, so this next one's going to be a good one.
I'll hit him last.
Oh, I'm
right,
sorry. What do we need? Initiative?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Oh crap! I
Bandu.
forgot to.
Let's roll.
I have a 19.06. I forgot to click on my person. Sorry.
All right, that's all right. We'll make that work. Where's Wraith? There he is. He's in the bushes. 1906.
And I rolled a 36 stealth.
All right, so you are almost certainly unseen in the bushes, even by the obvious non-combatants who are essentially running away. Let's go ahead.
Wait, there are obvious non-combatants? What?
Yeah, obvious non-combatants. That's how we roll here. NP,
Notice
there
that several
there-
of them have bows and weapons, though. They should be useful.
do they though?
I'm kidding.
All right. Let's rock. Vondrum, you rolled a 30, so
I did.
you are up first.
I'm going to pull out an old simple spell that has great range. It's a 10-foot radius, and we all know it as glitter dust.
Ooh,
Hey.
okay.
No spell resistance, will negates blinding only. So I'm hoping I can blind it.
You're gonna try and blind it. Okay, cool,
Nice.
cool.
Nice.
So I want to aim right for its little shining head, all 10 foot of it.
Okay, hold on. Let me get you a 10-foot thingamabobble here.
And then we'll see.
Where is my stuff? Oh, you big poo. Hold on. Oh, here we go. This second.
So I got a 22 knowledge nature just to see if it's natural or undead, or if I can figure out anything about what this creature is.
Okay. Is that a 10-foot square or a 10-foot circle?
That is a 10-foot radius. So
Radius.
20-foot diameter.
Ooh. That's your big boy. 10-foot rad. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. You place it where you want it.
Bam. I mean, it
Right
just
in
might
the-
buy us a little time. I figure if it's got 3-foot wide eyeballs, they must be pretty important to it.
One would think. All right, so bloosh.
17. Will save against 17.
We'll save against 17. All right, here we go. Will. All right, it's got that. Let me roll. Here we go. 7 did not make it. All right, so the glitter dust bombs him out. He is blinded and visibly outlined.
Wow.
So
Excellent. Nice.
how
Really
long
pretty.
does the blinding last? 1 round per level?
Yeah, he gets a chance every round to try and make a new save, and it is 1 round per level, so 7
Okay.
rounds.
He loses dex. He's penalty to strength and dex-based chills. All right, so you hear this creature make a as the glitter dust settles into its giant bulbous eyes, and you see it begin flailing around. Then, well, let me check something. I want to check something real quick. I got to check his feats.
Like what?
Oh, I was just checking to see if he has blind sight. So he does not. So he begins flailing around. He's continuing sort of in the same direction. But it's obvious that, I mean, his eyeballs, his protruding eyeballs, are covered with glitter dust, glowing golden in the light. Vondram, the excellent work of a spell there.
Nicely
Poe,
done.
You're trying to do knowledge, history, nature, religion, knowledge, nature on a 22. You suspect this creature is a Remoraz, an immense, a magical beast that lives in the mountains of of the cold. What?
I was thinking that based on the cold creature with the red stuff on the back. I was like, man.
The heated plates, yeah. With an 18, you would find one information. It tends to bull into areas and swallow. It likes to swallow creatures whole.
That's very rude.
It can be. All right, Vondram, that it for you?
Yep. I'm gonna yell over my shoulder. I think we might have gained the advantage, even the playing field for a moment. I'm not sure this creature's seeing so
well. It has
well.
no dex right now, so it's easier to hit.
Yep.
It's also easier to hit because it's outlined.
Well, it's not invisible, so I mean, you could easily see it. So that's, I mean, you're not going to get.
Don't you get a plus to hit it with the glitter dust?
Doesn't say that. I'm not seeing where it screws up your dex.
If it's invisible, you can see at that stage, but if it's already visible, then
yeah,
it just looks fabulous right now.
That's what I say. It looks fabulous.
It's bedazzled. Gotcha.
It does take a -40 penalty on stealth checks. So it's not gonna be hiding in the bushes anytime soon. I can tell you that.
I'm gonna move over and talk to the people and start pushing them to the east.
Okay, so you're going to try and drive them to the east. All right, so they're in panic mode. This thing has been chasing them. It's probably eaten some of it. It ate some of us, and we've been trying to get away. Thank God you're here.
I said, my friends are behind me. They'll take it down. Head east. Head east.
Head east. I remember that band. They were great. Titus, you're up. There's never been any reason to get eaten by a Remoraz. All right, you could tell from this distance, you could see it, Titus, and you could tell that it has been glitter dusted successfully by Vondram.
So I'm not the only one with glitter dust. That's good to know.
That's a good spell.
Double glitter dust.
I am going to cast communicate amongst our party.
All right. Message spell, or is communicate the actual name of the spell?
It is.
I think it's
message.
Message spell. All right. So you cast message, and now you have telepathically become the node through which everybody can talk to each other. Do you want to move or anything like that?
Let's see, where am I?
I'll let everybody know that this is I think it's a Remoraz, and that they
I pass it along, and I
like
Irondar, did you say great? Great.
What'd you say they like to what? You got cut off.
They like to bull charge and do like overrunning attacks.
Okay.
And Titus, what were you telling everybody?
I'm just passing along that information and also hiding between Irondar and Wraith.
Yes, they hit it from range.
Okay.
I think they might do something with fire too, if I remember.
Yeah.
That might be.
If
he does have those glowing plates
put
in
it this way, Bono should not go punch this thing, like ever.
I say you go give him a punch.
Oh no! Don't go punch him.
Boot to the head.
I was about to go punch the thing. All right.
I still think you should do it. All right, Titus, that it for you?
At the moment, yes.
Wraith.
I'm gonna do a double move.
Okay.
Up to here.
Attack the townsfolk.
Yeah, there's this woman right here who's just waiting for a verm. No, I'm gonna move up here.
Okay.
And if this thing is coming in the direction that it is certainly charted at, that'll put me in a position to get a shot on it.
Yeah, it's still stumbling that way. So
Yeah.
it's sort of, it's sort of on inertia, but since it's blind now and it can't really decide, but yeah, it's coming towards you.
All right, cool. So that's double move. Stop there. Can't do
Okay.
anything else.
All right, Poe.
Can I assume that the halflings are going to be covered by the commander and his people? I don't have to worry about them running off or whatever.
Well, the commander and his guys seem to be bearing off to the left. They've drawn lances too, and spears. So it looks like they may be looking to make cavalry attacks.
Okay. Well, I'll say don't go anywhere. We'll track you down if you do, and then I'm gonna pop off and move to there. And I'm gonna look back and cast resist energy on Poe
Okay.
against fire. So you have energy resistance 20, Eric, for Poe.
Thank you.
So assuming that that's enough, you can punch him without getting burned, maybe.
Ooh, that's music to his ears, I think. Energy resistance fire 20.
Yep.
Wow. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Wow, excellent. All right. Well, that being the case, Ono, I believe it's your turn. It's
where's-
clobbering time.
Well, I'm far away. I'm quite well south of this beast. And it seems like I'm gonna be spending this turn in maneuvering.
Okay.
So let me see. I want to protect the crowd of people. I'm gonna run toward Vondrum. And right about here, can I make it?
Oh
make
yeah,
it here?
absolutely.
Great.
I do that in one movement as fast as you move.
Yeah, you move pretty quick. That was only what?
I'm a 40.
Oh yeah. Well, that's yeah, probably looks like it's about 50. You probably got another 20 feet or so.
Okay. I'm gonna move to here and stand my ground.
All right, sort of like this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Hey.
double move. Yep.
1820s boxer.
Arendar. Where are you even? Oh, I see you.
You can move to there.
All right. Did you need that arrow on there, or is that my arrow?
That's mine.
Okay.
I forgot how we make it go away. There we go.
You hit the little trash can.
So do that. Pulling out my bow while I'm moving there.
Your Wraith giggle.
Yeah. He's like, watch this.
Oh, you can shoot. All right. So 17 will
17.
miss, even with. Oh, wait. Hold on. Glitter dust. Oh, shit. Blinded condition. -2 penalty. Lose dex. Skill check. All opposed. BC. Okay. So -2 plus dex. I think that's going to be a problem for me. -2 plus dex. So he has an effective AC of 17 right now. Would you roll?
Sweet. 17.
17. Okay. All right. So, all right, that will hit. He shoots again with. Oh, geez, another 17.
No.
Right.
It's only one. It's only one.
Oh, only one.
Macro
Okay.
does two, but I moved, so I only get one shot.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, you plunk an arrow into this thing. 10 points of damn. You see the arrow stick into its flesh, and it's like, and begins sort of stumbling around, like
And if they
trying.
could see and look at me, then I'd point back at Wraith.
He's not seeing anything. So that's kind of thing. All right. So hold on. So that's it for you, Arendar?
Yep, I'm done.
All right, hold on. I gotta check something here. Oh yeah. So he does continue to move towards you, albeit not as fast, as he's tentative, and he knows that he is debilitated. So he's gonna galump over, blinded, and he's sort of like lashing out at various places as he moves Oops, hold on. I'm gonna get rid of this. Hold on. Oh, for Pete's. All right. Go for fuck's sake. God almighty.
Wow.
There we go. That's what I want. All right, so he's going to move this way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He begins kind of glumping out. You can see him snapping at the air around him. His forelegs are trying to sort of and eventually gets the arrow and sort of snaps it in half, but doesn't pull it out. And you can see him sort of like smelling at the air and looking over in this direction, that kind of thing, where obviously the bulk of the food is. But he's obviously blind. That's round 1. Round 2, Vondram, you're up.
Oh, that was quick.
You forgot the commander.
No, he moved. They moved.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm gonna try a spiked pit. It's only 10 by 10, but it's 30 foot long. If he's blinded, he's got poor decks. He's got a better chance of falling into it.
Here's the thing: he's a huge creature.
Yeah.
Is he likely to even be able to fall in?
No,
Well,
can't
10 by
fall
10. I guess that's not a 10-foot radius, is it? It's not like 20.
No, it's
No.
a 10-foot wide. So yeah, he's like 20 foot wide or something like that. So yeah,
Does
You
it
may
look
just-
to me like he can fly?
No, he cannot. It doesn't look like he can fly. And Poe would probably point out that Remorazes are not historically known to be flyers.
Okay, then
think they're
let's
diggers,
try.
aren't they?
Burrowers, yes.
Oh, burrowers?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how fast they burrow.
I don't think he's too worried about burrowing right now.
Well, he might be with what I'm thinking about doing, is why I'm.
Yeah, I don't know that a pit will work. He probably will just roll right over it just
Okay,
because
well,
of the
actually,
size.
I was shifting to a new idea of shifting sand,
Shifting sand.
which has got a 20-foot spread. And it basically is just going to make it difficult terrain. It's just going to slow him down even further.
Okay.
They got to make a reflex save each round or become entangled.
All right.
And they can fall prone. And I can move it. They're 10 feet in any direction. Ooh, I like that.
All right. See the orange circle? That's your shifting sands.
So he's still heading our way.
Yeah, he is. It seems like he's maybe gotten a smell out of you guys.
I think I'm still gonna just put it right underneath him.
All right, so you're gonna put it like where he is, right? Okay, so
Yeah,
gotcha.
I think
All right.
so.
So do I need to reflex negate? Okay, so
And that's an 18.
18 reflex save. Let me go ahead and see what he's got here. He's pretty good.
Does that change with his dex being modified?
Yes. Oh shoot. Hold on. -4 penalty on strength and dex based skill check. So this isn't a skill check. This is a saving throw.
Didn't have the same thing. Huh. Interesting.
Creatures that fail fall prone. Remain blinded. Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't yeah, he'll lose his dex bonus to his save.
Okay.
So there's that, which
Well, it's an
sucks.
18. Let's see if it works.
All right. What did I roll? Hold on. He did not make it. So acrobatics checks for creatures entering or beginning their turn in the shifting save, reflex save, or become entangled. So he becomes entangled too. So he's blind and entangled. If they attempt to move, he must make a second reflex save or fall prone. Okay, cool.
You can't take charges. You got a -2 on charges.
All right, so he is now blind and entangled.
And another -4 to his dex.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. This is brutalizing me. All right, is that it for you, Vondram, or?
I think that's good. I'm gonna keep moving the
good.
people.
Very
All right,
nice.
you keep asking the people to move. Do you move into them, kind of?
Yes, I'm gonna move into them.
Okay.
And keep them moving along.
Titus, the creature is sitting right there. entangled, blinded. The perfect victim. The perfect victim of your sorceress abilities.
I know, but it looks like he's got a lot of hit points. So I can't get a verm on him.
Can't get a verm yet.
So he is pretty much tied up and blind.
Yeah, he's fallen into this like so the glitter dust landed on his eyes. You could see from where you are that the actual glitter dust is coating his eyeballs, which are these protuberant kind of insectile eyes. They're just completely covered with this. And then the ground now in front of him has become this sort of weird morass that he can't, he's sort of like staggering through. It's like the ground, the snow is reaching up and grabbing his legs and stuff like that. It's just really become a problem for them. It's shifting and churning, and the ground underneath him is just turning around all over the place. But it's very much stopping his forward motion.
You are doing awesome, by the way.
Vandrum's all about leveling the playing field.
Yeah, Vandrum is kicking ass.
It's true.
How long does the do I have
7
any idea how
rounds.
long that spell lasts?
7 rounds, but
At
he
least
can break out
7 rounds,
You
yeah.
He can
break
roll out of it.
with
I mean,
blindness.
he can save himself out of it. So
Okay,
the
I'm
right rolls, he
going.
can get active again.
Looks like he is in a perfect spot for a web. Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Spider-Man.
A web.
What's
Uh-oh.
the range on that? Can you hit him with a web from there?
If not, I can certainly move closer.
You definitely have. All right, range is 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. So is that 170 feet?
Something like that, yes.
Think it is. So let's just do a quick. Yeah, it's well within range. You can just plop it on him if you want.
I will.
Is that what you wanna
'cause it
do?
Looks like he's kind of in that right in 3 nice acre points.
Yep. All right. So it's a 20-foot radius web, which plops down on him. What color are we going to use for webs? We're going to use red. Because why the flip not? All right. 20-foot radius. So this is, stop it. This is your web. And so 3 anchor points, you want to put it like right there?
Yeah,
Okay.
That looks about right.
Kabloomf. All right. So reflex negates. So his reflex save is largely right now. So so what is the thing? I don't know how he's gonna minus it, but okay, let's give it a shot. You never know. So he's lost a couple of more points on his reef. And he rolled a 5. Does that beat your DC?
No.
He is now webbed, which means he is now blinded, entangled, and grappled. It lets out an enormous frustrated scream as it's struggling against the webs, ripping them away from the thing, stumbling from the shifting sands, swatting at its own eyes from the thing, and from the brutalization that it is now facing. You guys are really terrible about this. All right. Do you want to move, Titus?
I'm sure I do. I probably want to do a end zone dance.
End zone dance. All right. If you must.
Yeah, I will. As always, use my pillars of. Why am I not being able to move?
Okay.
For some reason I cannot move, but I wanted to get
Where do you want to go?
Between Poe, Wraith, and Arendar.
All right, so like right about there.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, perfect.
If you measured, you just didn't click back to the grab thing.
All right.
I like when Les does things for me.
All right, these guys. So the
As a free action, because you can do free action anytime. I'm gonna yell out because they were around the other side of the tree, but I see all this. Being a martial guy and knowing what they're gonna do, I
Mhm.
yell to them, wave off. There's all kinds of magic that will stop your horses if you attack him. Basically, I'm calling to the guards.
Okay.
Basically telling them that if they run up to like try to joust him, they're gonna get stuck.
Okay. It doesn't look like they are jousting. In fact, now that it's their term, you see that they acknowledge you and then continue on. What they do is they actually pass through some of the undergrowth and they pass by, each of them delivering spears to the side of the creature as they do by. I can't really turn these guys, so they go this way and then they turn. They're sort of looping around the back of the creature,
Right.
and coming around. So all three of them dump spears in. So the two regulars, that didn't help, and the commander. Okay, that hits. So that's gonna do 4 points of damage to the creature as the commander's spear goes stabbing into it. So in addition to one arrow, there's now one spear. These guys get some more spears and they begin whirling around sort of over the north here. All right. Wraith, you're up.
Move 30 feet to here
Okay.
and set up and fire an arrow. 29,
29's a hit.
5 points of damage,
Okay.
Wow.
and
Nice.
Of
Two-
4 dice, you rolled 3 ones.
yeah, I know. 2 points of sneak, 2 points of sneak, and 2 points of bleed.
Sneak attack. Oh, he's denied his
Yeah.
dex, so he gets that. So what's the total on that?
9.
9 points of damage. Okay, got done. All right, is that it?
Yep.
All right. All right, so they are looping around back that way. Poe.
I was thinking about making Ono enlarged for more damage. That does do good damage on a monk, right? If he gets bigger.
Sure.
Makes them easier to hit, but it gives them +2 strength, which gives them a +1 damage, but it also increases the damage dice by 1 category. So
So if he uses 6s now, he'll use 8s.
yeah, or if it's 8s, it's like 10s or 12s.
2d6, I
Yeah,
think.
2d6 maybe.
Eric, you want me to enlarge you with a spell?
No. No.
Okay.
Sounds so dirty when you say it.
Come
Well, then I think I'm going to set up. I'm just going to move. I'm going to do a double move to there.
Gotcha, bro.
And that's it.
The hell is my Remoras? How come he's not on the list? Did he get deleted somehow?
Maybe
He was after me, I remember that, but
Yeah,
I don't
he
see him
rolled like
on
a
there.
4.01.
Yeah, I don't see him on there though.
Yep, I'm putting him back on there. I don't know how that happened, but it's not
You
good.
know what?
All right. So Poe, what do you?
That's probably what happened.
Oh, that could be. All right, Poe, what are you
Did a
doing?
double move. Did a double move. Les.
That's it. Oh no, you're up.
Yes, sir.
You are still unenlarged.
That's fine. Okay. If this dragon or beast is webbed, and
It is.
am I gonna get webbed if I run up and punch
If you
it?
run up,
It
you're gonna have to-
depends. Potentially.
You're gonna have to do the DC for the web and the DC for the sand.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. All right.
Got any
Right.
distance weapons?
What I'm gonna do is, in case this thing decides to shift sideways and run over here and munch people. I'm going to run here
Okay.
and stand my ground.
All right. So you're gonna block that way, so
Yeah.
you can't accidentally get through there.
Because I mean, I don't want
Okay.
to get
All right. Gotcha.
webbed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That it then?
That's it.
Okay. Cool. Arendar. Ooh, what are these bow attacks? 31 will hit. 19 will hit. So both hit. So 15 points of damage.
Mhm.
Okay. Full attack that was?
Yep, I'm
All
done.
right.
Actually, I'll take a 5-foot step up.
All right. Okay. All right. This creature is enraged, and you can see that these back plates that they had are glowing red hot. Where the web is touching them, the web begins to catch on fire and begin burning. So there is some. It is ultimately beginning to burn the web around it.
Yeah.
As it tries to break free. Now it is enraged, so it is actually going to try and move despite the web. So anyone in the affairs, but reflex save, grappled. It's going to try and do. Let me see. Does it have escape artist? Wouldn't that be great if it did? No, it doesn't. It's going to try and bust out the grapple.
Yeah, just use a CM. Better CMB than an escape artist anyway.
All right, so in this case, it does have an extra bonus versus grapple, which you guys are not going to like. Taking me a while here. Here we go. Against the grapple, 37. So it does break through the grapple, I'm assuming, and begins crushing through the web towards the direction that it was going. So it will actually go kind of like clonking.
Does the sand,
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
it's-
is that just the sand and
the
is it
sand like
both?
messes with its movement, right?
So
it's gotta-
entangled, let me check entangled. Entangled impedes movement but does not entirely prevent it unless the bonds are anchored to an immobile object or tethered to an imposing force. He okay, so runs at half speed, can't run a charge, -2 penalty on attack, spells. So in this case, the web continues to be difficult terrain, which slows his speed by half. The shifting sands also provides the entangled, which also slows him by half. His speed is 30. A quarter of that is what, 5 feet?
7.5.
Yeah,
7.
7.5 feet. So yeah, he sort of like crunches along into the web as he begins moving. He continues to he's squawking, he's making noise, and he continues to sort of truck through that. But as he moves through the web, he has to make another saving throw to become to avoid becoming entangled again, which he's almost certainly not going to make. Oh, 17. What was the DC on the web,
I don't know the web.
Titus?
Oh, sorry.
It's around that.
What's
It is 19.
19. All right, so he's re-entangled himself in the web. However, he's leaving a trail of flaming web behind him.
Now, that's just
as
to
it
make sure
begins to burn.
when you're taking your turn and you're in the sand, you have to make a reflex save every round or become entangled again.
He blew that reflex save. He's
That was
still
the
entangled.
reflex. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, he's still entangled. So and it's
I
not
see. But he's only moving at a quarter speed now. Okay.
yeah, he's moving at quarter speed. So yeah, he hasn't done that.
If they attempt to move while entangled, they must make a second reflex save or fall prone.
Oh, okay. So I need to make a reflex save here. So let me do that. What did I get?
18 is what you needed, which
A 5.
is
A
Good lord.
5. So he crashes and burns in the sand. So he falls down and now he is prone in the sand, just like he just collapses in there. So he's also prone. So he's webbed, blind, entangled, and prone.
Another day at the office.
bad day. Yeah, for sure.
Prone. Okay. Reminds me of my prison days. Okay, and then the masses seeing this happening and seeing you guys there is absolutely going to take Vondrum's thing, and they are going to move very quickly in the opposite direction as quickly as they can. All right, that's the end of round 2. We're well after 11. We will stop there, and the next time we play B Team, we will resume in Bellis Res as you guys continue to fight the Remorais.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Cool.
It was
Good.
fun, Lev.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Alex.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad you liked it. I hope we didn't get too talky with some of the politics, but there's a lot of politics coming up, so be prepared. All right.
Good night,
Good night.
all.
All right. Thanks,
right.
everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you all soon.
All right.
Thank
Night,
you.
guys.
Good night, everybody. Sorry.